just cut out.
Try that.
Transporting it.
Do a test, Joe. We're having some technical difficulties. We apologize.
Hopefully you can hear us and see us now.
Hopefully we get some feedback, but I guess we're gonna start. Looks like the feed's working. Happy Wednesday before Thanksgiving. You're here in Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, carjacking and auto theft team with Thomas Siegelstrom and Joe Kill.
Hello, backseaters. Welcome.
And we are here in St. Paul. We apologize for the late start. We had some stuff we had to take care of. We may have to end a little early today. It won't be a normal 2-hour ride, but we'll get as much time in as we can and go from there. So,
Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving tomorrow already. Time flies.
any of you were monitoring yesterday some of the crime pages? There was a carjacking yesterday morning of a red Jeep Compass in St. Paul, Arizona plates. They were able to locate it, St. Paul.
We located it a few times last night.
What was the first time? 6 or 7 o'clock?
It was probably right around 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Lawn area.
And what do you think? The vehicle fled, and sounds like a couple times spotted throughout the night. Eventually, it was spotted later in the evening. I think that was around midnight. St. Paul squad got behind it. Vehicle fled. This time, St. Paul initiated a pursuit. Sounds like at least 2 St. Paul squads pursued this vehicle. Went down southbound 52 towards Invergrove Heights. Sounds like some good sticks by other agencies. And from my understanding, Darren McDonald performed a
nice successful pit. I think they got sticks at some point, right?
Yeah, I think twice.
Twice?
Along 52. Got a good pit on it, took the one sole occupant into custody, and away he went with St. Paul to be booked. So, hats off to St. Paul. They're
Absolutely.
they upped their game.
He's good. And hello, all the backseaters. I know I've been gone a while. I'm reading all your comments, but I'm back in the passenger seat. Thomas is driving. We'll see what we can find for you guys.
9273.
I offered Joe to drive, but he told me no.
No, sometimes I like to just ride passenger. Because you're such a fine driver.
Now you know you're lying to me. Told you a couple weeks ago we'll try to get rotate as many personalities as possible. Try to make sure we keep a good volume for the CAT team out on patrol with you guys. Sometimes it's not possible to switch it up just on schedules and stuff, but we will rotate from there. So, what else did they have last night? I think a couple stolens recovered. Acting Sergeant Brian Micheletti, first shift last night.
Yeah.
He's you guys have ridden with Brian a few times. He's covering the afternoon shift CAT team for the interim. We'll see how long that will be. We got off to a good start last night. Some good work last night.
Yes, it was.
What do we got for activity today as far as stolens out there?
We had that Acura on the west side. I guess we don't know if it's stolen, but probably.
All signs point to it. Early this morning on our way in, Carroll and Finn, which is the way western border of St. Paul, near Minneapolis, there's a white Acura sedan occupied.
A couple juvenile black males with masks.
Tried to enter a St. Paul Public Works truck. Well, they didn't know that it was occupied by the workers still. Scared him off, and he called it in. Never got a plate, but, you know, that's a high area for a lot of those theft from autos involving stolen vehicles. So, we're still looking for that. If you happen to see a suspicious white Acura sedan, checking door handles on cars, might be a clue.
Yep, call it in. Over here on the east side of St. Paul. It was a nice day today. It was, what, almost 50?
Yeah, it's 50. We,
45, 50. Sunny. Cold comes tomorrow.
It does. Well, how cold?
The highs are like in the 30s. Wind chills in the 20s.
I don't think I'm ready yet.
I think we've been pretty lucky already.
We've had, St. Paul's been dealing with a couple shots fired. I think there was, what,
2 or 3 this afternoon already.
One in west. At least one in east. So, on the one in west, they found some good casings.
There was one this morning, too.
East off the
Railroad
7th and
tracks.
Payne area. Yeah, it sounds like an individual was pistol whipped and rounds fired at him by an individual. That was pretty early this morning. 8:40-ish. As far as impending, nothing of note right now.
Nothing much.
Radio's pretty quiet.
People are gearing up because what is it, the busiest bar night of the year tonight?
The night before Thanksgiving.
All the school kids come back into town. There's probably going to be fights. I'm sure it's going to be a busy night for patrol.
Hopefully you all have a long weekend you're looking forward to. Well, I know those of you in retail aren't looking forward to Friday. And you probably had a busy week this week prepping for it, Black Friday.
You go Black Friday shopping?
No.
No.
I think I did maybe like once or twice way back when, 10 plus years ago. Back when it was a good deal. Now I just like...
I think you can get the same deals like online, like free.
Yeah, well, like Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
Just order from the comfort of my house.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. The first... You used to have... they'd have all kinds of stuff going on, events at these stores, you know. 5 a.m. openings.
Remember like the rushes and the fights and you used to see.
713 Minnehaha Avenue. Caller requesting assistance in taking money, purchasing that a party stole money from him. We have a second half calling in, saying that they're going to be en route, going to attempt to go to arrest for to give the initial caller a check.
Some schools letting out.
Definitely is. Over by Harding High School, here on East District at St. Paul. I'm yawning already. It's a little too early to be yawning.
Yeah, I know.
242.
This will be assisted with 235. And could you please reopen my DOC on Winnipeg?
Appreciate 1508.
Pretty busy T intersection here, especially at school let out time.
Just verifying 2719 on 3715 will be going in place of 333.
First.
333 she's there.
Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for all the help.
Before you know it's going to be Christmas. Ready for that?
Month away. No, I'm not. I'm not. Christmas shopping.
You're not done yet?
No, you are?
No.
I haven't even started. I tell myself every year I'll always get ahead of it and do it throughout the year as I see stuff.
Yeah, and then last minute.
Yeah.
The day before.
No, not the day before. My wife wouldn't put up with those shenanigans.
And now we stuck rapping the day before, night before.
Gift bags.
Bags.
I can't.
No.
I'm not the prettiest wife.
Yeah.
I do the old crunch and.
But you can definitely tell when I rap versus Molly rapping.
What else we got going on here in St. Paul? I don't think in the last 2 days much. Not a lot to note, I guess, activity-wise. So that's good. Going into the holiday weekend.
It's Minneapolis. Minneapolis is popping. Stolen.
Yeah, so we monitor that, and it's, we try to protect the borders. What is everyone's favorite Thanksgiving dish? You talk to different people, there's all kinds of different traditions they do.
That's ham and potatoes.
You guys do ham and... It's Turkey Day.
You do both.
No one can eat that much.
Yeah, you can. Get leftovers on.
I guess so. Ham sandwich later? I always say, like, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna eat, then I eat a plate, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. What we got?
And all potatoes. I mean, cheesy hash brown and mashed potatoes.
Oh, what's this? Oh, I see.
We're singing deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs, huh?
Those are good. Ham and potato salad. Pumpkin pie.
Dumplings?
Green bean casserole. Sweet potatoes, brown sugar.
New message. New message.
Oh, that was close.
Saw the red. You guys doing anything
Hey
big?
guys, I got a stolen plate, I believe. I think it's a blue Subaru Crosstrek. It's eastbound Marshall.
He's way
I
over.
think it's caught at the light at Cretan. I'll let you know in a second.
What's the plate?
If I got it right, uniform Alpha 509.
New message. New message. New message.
I can't see all the way to the light. It might have got through the light and be all the way up to Cleveland if there's anybody up there.
We're a little out of position.
I believe there's a Crosstrek in the vehicle thread from overnight. Okay, I got it up ahead of me. It's about 4 cars ahead of me if I got the plate right. I'm trying to confirm as quick as I can.
Copy, we're coming from east, we're ways out, but we're working to you.
Yeah, it's like you're in third, so several minutes out. Okay, I'll confirm as quick as I can here.
SRT's in the shop, so we're don't have the SRT, but we have vehicles just as fast.
Did we get confirmation?
Okay, we're eastbound for Cleveland. I'm still unable to confirm the plate, sorry.
So Pat, it's behind a vehicle with stolen license plates, and it's likely a stolen. So we're gonna try to get there a little ways out.
Right, one, it's getting ready to turn north on Pryor. And yes, it is 524 miles from 509. It's like kind of a blue gray. And it's pulling to the curb here. See what he does. Trying to get some documents, Pat. Copy in progress. This is 1060. This is a female parking in the garage. I'm going to go into the garage after her.
Oh god.
Where are you at, Beth? Just north of Marshall on Pryor. East side of the street, back into a garage.
Into your garage.
1939 Marshall.
This is underground garage.
Like that is an underground garage, or is it residence?
Do we lose convo?
Okay, you can all cancel. This is the RO. They found the plates in the car. We recovered and just put it back on. I'll check it quickly. I'll take care of it here.
We got it, thanks, man. Alright, so the vehicle ended up pulling into the garage, ended up being the RO. So a lot of times what happens with these stolen cars is you report a car stolen, you run the plates, goes through NCIC, they put a flag on it so you know. And sometimes it gets missed, locate the car or the plates and they don't get removed. So then they'll still be in stolen status. So that's looks like what appeared to happen here is the plates were still in stolen status and not removed. So Pat's going to help the RO take them out of stolen status.
Can you send me a number for suspicion from all? Clear it out, UTL, put me back out, and I'll do everything.
As you can see, it wasn't the easiest to run code
A lot of traffic.
this time of the day.
Nobody gets out of your way either.
About 6 from 23.
Oh no, okay. Didn't even blame my driving. Way a good spot by Pat.
Yep.
In the cup across those stolen
Can
plates.
you change this to a PIC?
You guys were kind of hearing he, follow that car. Stolen plates, pulling an underground parking garage. Some decisions have to be made. Do you let it go? Do you risk following it in.
Especially underground parking garages if you don't know where you're at, or sometimes you lose your radio signal, which is hard for everybody else to know.
Pat made a quick decision, was able to confirm it was the RO. Just must have been a mistake on the recovery of the plates, huh?
Yeah.
There's something to add.
Yeah, would you make me up a SAM for Soviet traffic stop 1939 Marshall on Mike Uniform Alpha 509? Those are going to come back as stolen plates, but the owner recovered them himself and marked the report date.
Copy.
New message. New message.
Precinct PD front on a mail that's up to houses on the block. 1521.
Nothing really impending.
Wednesdays have been rather slow lately.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a heck of a beard.
What else we got?
Marshall and Cretan, I just ran a plate that came back as a stolen. Foxtrot Whiskey Golf 253. We'll make the block on that. We'll leave that at Foxtrot.
Says it,
Alright, I was coming right at you. What vehicle and where was it?
It is stolen.
says it's occupied.
Dodge.
Let's call that actually Cretan, Eaglehart. I believe it's parked on Eaglehart,
Dodge.
facing eastbound Eaglehart from Cretan.
Dodge what?
At the bottom of the hill.
Black Stratus again. Dodge
Okay, give me the plate
Stratus.
again. Foxtrot Whiskey Golf 253. Should be like a Dodge Stratus, like a purple with maybe blue.
Bluish. Yep.
Ask if it's occupied.
That's a stolen vehicle, that's the plate.
Did you say it was occupied?
I didn't get a good look. I thought the brake lights were on, man. I just passed it. I'm about mid-block. From 2135, Eaglehart, facing westbound 43. I got a block right in front of me. So if it is occupied, I can't see it. Are you behind it right now, Billy? He's on the corner of Eaglehart Creek. He's facing eastbound on Eaglehart. So he's just off Creek. He's at the bottom of the hill. He's on my car. I can't get a look at you. Alright, where are you in relation to? Mid-block Eaglehart 43. Alright, I'm on Cretan and Carroll. One block up.
Somewhere a couple blocks out.
Alright, we're a couple blocks out, guys.
Yeah, okay, so let's just get in the area today, John, and I'm not going to roll it because I'm hard. So if you guys can get in the area, and then once we're all in the area. Maybe go to ride by, or we can just box it in, but the car's sitting here at the corner, I just don't know if it's occupied. I believe it is, I don't know if I'm right.
Tell him so he's got eyes on, start coordinating it.
Alright, I can't make sense of this. What's the model? This is like maybe a Dodge Stratus or some kind of Chrysler, like a dark color.
already told me since you got eyes on it, why don't you call out how you want to take this stuff?
Yes.
I don't have a clear eye on it. There's a big, maybe a Honda CRV perfect in front of it. So I can only see maybe down the driver's side of the vehicle. I can't see into it.
Okay. Where is it located?
Copy. Where exactly is it located?
Sorry about the mute. We were, Tony had an occupied, he believes stolen.
So Tony was calling out that it was a Dodge Stratus, but you said it was a Subaru Outback?
No.
Check a couple guys.
All right, sorry about that. We were looking for an occupied stolen. Looks by the time we made the area, it was gone, as you guys saw. All that was left was a unoccupied Subaru.
285. Property damage accident at Jonathan. I will be on 2 vehicles, full safety of the driver. He is uninsured.
So we're going to be in the area looking for that.
D3.
Dodge Stratus. Looks like, what year?
Looks like we're looking for 2006. So an older Dodge Stratus.
There's an older one, isn't it? we're at What Up Bookie by the time we got there.
That's pretty quick.
Should be noticeable. The description of stolen vehicle says that it has a red front bumper. Again, I didn't see it from the front. I only saw it from the rear. So it should stand out if you see it.
On 1133 calls here at 1532.
Oh, shucks.
Cancel the 10th trip, Jack. No jump here.
Where's that 3?
1532.
15. Just a civil. All right.
Played Houdini on us.
That just vanished.
Unfortunately, by the time plate was ran and he set up in the area, he didn't have visual on it, so that hill kind of blocked his view.
That happens a lot.
Depending where it is, you're not always able to set up on it in the best manner. It's got a noticeable
Red bumper.
Red.
Purple car, red bumper.
Alright, so 52, you can clear the call out report.
Copy.
Your incident has been updated.
That's a bummer.
Looks like it was stolen on the 15th.
15th? Out of where?
We would be out of Spring Lake Park.
Spring Lake Park. But the vehicle
Right.
registers to Venice, huh?
199.
So Spring Lake Park stolen.
Harassment reporting, filter. Can you respond to that? To the nature of it?
It says on here that the hood is red as well.
Oh, it is red as well. Huh.
Fuel for assistance.
Oh.
Copy.
One 82 going pins.
331. 331. We put my phone pending and put me on 339 call. Copy.
What's the assault?
Copy.
16-year-old daughter. No, physically assault account, 16-year-old daughter. A lot of yelling. Male outside the other space. That's good. Again. 16-year-old male. A lot of yelling in the background.
Stolen comments say it's got a silver hood too, so blue Dodge Stratus, silver hood, red front bumper. If you see this thing, there's no way we're gonna miss it.
Hopefully we didn't miss it. a boogie by the time you made the block, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Silver, red.
9251 clears us.
1538.
What do you think?
Vanished.
Poof.
Information for white paramedics en route to White Pines. Unit 118, 87-year-old male, who is conscious and breathing. He has a high contact.
New message. New message.
That vehicle stolen I just ran? That Hyundai? That black one? Appeared to be unoccupied.
I hear that one.
Yeah.
Love one of them coming.
I just ran a stolen here. It's going to be down Victor William 096. Appears to be unoccupied. We're going to turn around here. Someone wants to come and recover it.
Cleveland and Eaglehart,
Yeah, Cleveland and Eilhart.
just east of that. That intersection.
Copy, I'll come that way.
When was it taken?
The 21st, yesterday at 12:23 in the morning, or afternoon. 19. It's entered the. All right, well, we just ran a plate here on this Hyundai Elantra right here, and it's coming back stolen, so we're gonna go and look at it quick.
536, 259 on that. 711.
What, 756?
756.
$82.94 traffic.
94.
All right. Fill 'em in?
23rd Avenue, 057, X-ray, yellow, X-ray.
Just fill our backseaters in what you found.
So as we were driving by, ran this plate, came back, it's a stolen vehicle. We just confirmed the VIN that it is in fact stolen. It's full of, looks like, merchandise and credit cards. Columns punched on it.
No broken window.
It even has the security sticker.
Yeah. Huh. So no broken window, which is a trademark of these.
That tells you it had to have been unlocked. They got in through an unlocked door.
Yep.
Because otherwise that vehicle would not be able to start if the doors were locked. The new upgrade.
There's probably at least 3 or 4 purses
756, the plate is going to be
left in that car.
09.
Credit cards, gift cards, it's thrown throughout.
On code 4, you can cancel 2752.
Copy 2752, sir.
So normally we would recover that with live. We're gonna request assistance from a partner.
Our partner came and is taking care of that for us. Let's see, hold on one second.
This is a place to be for stolens.
Let's check this one here.
Copy 23.
So we get a red hit on our computer, and now he's
Yeah, this throws us off.
Good shooting.
84.
1045 Larpenter at Roseville Senior House, number 123. Assist medics with a 69-year-old female conscious and breathing. High temp, chills.
Copy.
1544.
clear.
Yeah, you got one coming.
No, the plate.
Yeah, clear.
Oh,
See what else we can find.
yeah. Thanks for taking that, Tony. So while in the area looking for that other stolen, Joe Kill ran another stolen. So one benefit of having a partner who can operate the computer, one drives, focuses on that, while the other guy kind of, unfortunately, has to multitask, but
I'm not the best at that.
Single.
You know that.
how do you do it in your car when you're
Take it
alone?
back to that.
Copy.
No, Joe Kill cannot be texting and respond to questions.
Nope. Nope.
So
Focus that one thing at a time.
I'll leave him alone when he's doing that.
No report writing.
Or they train across.
Yeah, looks like it.
Five three six.
Anything medics
Just
to
carry
our
on.
location is going to be for adult male, conscious breathing, intoxicated, unable to walk.
Received.
What's a suspicious? Black trail. Blah, blah, blah. Stashing items. It's a fight?
I think it's the same.
150 OT.
Oh no.
Copy, have a good night.
Okay. We're trying. We're getting closer. We got an unoccupied recovery. Let's find an occupied, huh?
Let's do it.
Look what we have here. I think someone wrong side of the river. Hennepin County Sheriff's Office.
Mm-hmm.
How many football games start tomorrow? What is it, a couple?
2 or 3 maybe?
Wild play tonight? Are they back from Sweden yet?
I don't know what they play. Is that where they played at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I think they lose in overtime both times. One in a shootout, one in overtime. They came back against the Leaves and unfortunately
Or
lost it.
back at Burlington 1729 DM female. So
Hopefully they get it figured out, 'cause I tell you what.
Vehicle Black Kia, Juliet Mike Victor 497.
What's that?
4-1 squad, copy from the PD.
53.
It was east. There's the theft. Forte.
GMB 497, Black Forte. Female ran out with product and got in the vehicle. Black Kia. Still in the parking lot.
$396.
far as that.
Come back clear.
So far, yeah. Always several times.
Yeah. Monitor that one. Well, I was saying, Wild, one year they can actually put the puck in the net, you know. Goaltending's kind of, I don't even say goaltending, just defense all around. Most years, Wild Blood put 1 or 2 goals in the net and played pretty good defensively, and this year they're throwing up, you know, 4 or 5 goals a game and still losing.
We still gotta get to a game.
Yeah, it's early yet, right?
Yeah.
What do they got? Half a season and they still left?
Need to get our popcorn bucket.
Yeah. It's our tradition?
Yeah.
Is that our new tradition we started last year?
That's some good popcorn.
8294, clear traffic.
If you guys aren't familiar with the Wild, they do a bunch of theme nights. They'll do like a teacher appreciation, military night, a few other ones. They once a year, I think they do a first responder and then a separate law enforcement night. I think we missed this year. It was pretty early.
Second or something like that, or third.
November.
Yeah.
It was early this year. We missed it, but we went last year and we had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
A little time with the spouses, kids at home.
Absolutely.
No complaints.
We had 2 sober kids.
Both of our significant others were expecting babies around. I mean, my wife was just about ready to pop.
Yeah.
So our youngest, he was born in November, so
January. So you and I had a good time.
yeah, they were good sports about it. Monitor that Maplewood one, I guess, in case it get some additional info.
Nothing further.
Information is about to record alert issued by St. Paul. Attempt to locate a vehicle involved with shots fired. Hotel Yankee November 627 at the Dodge Strike. Vehicle is involved in second-degree assault. Firearm has not been recovered. Information after.
I thought they were going to say Dodge Stratus.
Squad 379, take a look.
Yeah.
Hey, boss, 379, take me. It says Boulevard 25.
So that was one of the shots fired from earlier. I think that was the one off West District, right?
Yeah.
You get a good suspect vehicle.
Just air.
I can take that domestic.
Look, that's Durango.
My business 179 on domestic at 677 Hammond.
Okay, we're going to be clearing from this in a minute, then we can assist. We need to change our call back to a move.
Copy.
Looks like some of you are confused about all the Joes. We have Jelly Joe Miller. We have Joe Odegaard, and then myself, Joe Kill. Joe Miller and I, Thomas and Kyle are pretty much the original through the CAT team, and then Joe Odegaard, Fabio came on just recently.
8294,
the last few months.
I think he's at least 6 months. He's
6 months now.
Copy.
yeah, it's time goes fast, but I guess we'll have to ask him the next time. When did he come? Yeah, because it was him and then Brian, right?
I think it was Brian that night.
Brian then yeah. Excuse me. It all
comes together.
comes together. But yeah, he's been here a good amount of time now.
Medics. I got one party that
They all definitely don't look alike, so
3 cars are involved. One party fled the
different,
scene. White female wearing a white coat
actually Jelly Joe and his
on foot
hair.
southbound division towards 7th Avenue.
say Joe is significantly taller than you guys.
Odegaard?
Yeah, than you and Miller.
Oh, yeah.
You look like you still belong in the military.
No.
Yeah. Your haircut, yeah.
I'm over here. I got the female. She's coming back to the senior.
We'll have to start like a podcast, Joe and Joe.
In route.
Jeez.
Chase.
Miller, you've seen a little bit more. He's venturing back out. Getting some free time to come out on Live on Patrol with Pat Scott. No, that was highly requested by the backseaters. They were
Yes.
very concerned with what happened to Jelly
to
Joe. Where are you, Jelly Joe? Is that Where's Waldo? Where's Joe? No, a lot of the times it's hard to. There's people that have distinct voices, and then some of the rest blend together. And us just talking to while you're looking out at the street might be confusing, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Can you do an AMA? Clear advise at 536. I'll take your location number. 536 government.
Huh?
It's a little shit. It's not.
Racing, Post Pleasant, Route 111 Kellogg. Male in a black Chevy Trailblazer and a person that's standing in the stairwell waiting because they're stashing items. 1556.
Not much going on.
PD, please.
Is that the? There it is. Is that the Rev? There's the Rev. There's the Rev and Mickey Frost out. What are they hanging out? Turkeys.
Turkeys.
Handing out turkeys. They had quite a bit handing out to community members.
Right.
Rev does a lot of community outreach. It's
Right, Blue and Marion and the Easter Hemlock.
pretty amazing what he's involved with throughout St. Paul. The kids he knows and the connections he's made.
Was in for hypothermia and drug use.
And he's funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, hilarious.
Copy.
1557.
So we're on Selby Avenue right now here in West District. I don't think it's changed over yet. Selby and Vic. Last summer this was pretty busy for us with all the Kia Hyundai stuff. It's as far as stolen motor vehicles, it's kind of tame.
Yep.
You might get the one here or there, but there's a time we come over here and we locate, a handful in a shift.
Yep. It's a thoroughfare.
So there's the good Minnesota wave on. One waves and the other waves.
You sit there and wave at each other.
Yeah, and finally someone goes, and then you decide to go at that same point, and then you're doing it again.
Yeah. Someone wanted to say hi.
Definitely heard honk.
Could be on the freeway.
What's going to happen as soon as we're kind of floating this way, something
Pops way
west
yeah.
again.
That's what's been happening quite a bit lately.
Presbyterian home for North Oaks, number 182. Medic. 90-year-old female conscious and breathing fell on the floor and there's blood from her head.
600 heavy.
Get your snow tires on. Ready for it? It's gonna be snow any day now.
I can replace 67 closer.
It's a bummer.
670 concise.
67 conversation.
You got big plans for Thanksgiving, or you just home?
No big plans, really.
CST 768.
What was it?
CST 768.
Big message.
No plans? Are you making a turkey at home then?
Big message.
No. Hosting, so I'm gonna do ham and turkey and everything.
No
about
big
you?
plans, but you're just hosting a party.
Yeah.
Huh?
You know.
No, we always go to the in-laws.
Big message. Big message.
No, and turkey Thanksgiving wasn't a huge thing. We go to my mom's families. So grandma and grandpa's growing up, but as an adult, I don't really have much going on in my family, which makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's kind of a little harder to bounce around, right? Because you're bouncing around for the food.
Yep.
So if you go to one, you go to the next one, and you feel bad because they made a big spread.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm full. So don't have to do that, which is nice with little kiddos. Hopefully Black Friday's tame. No shenanigans.
Is there an available downtown car that can start to assist medics at the Barber Tree ramp, 95 7th Street East on a man down?
523.
Copy. He's going to be in the stairwell. No floor was given. Caller refused to answer further questions. They are security there. 1603.
Swift cover.
I don't know. I'm truly bored actually right now. What about you?
Mm-hmm.
Thought we had some activity. Thought it was picking up.
They already have to go at Walmart for stuff. Within the last 30 minutes, employees' backpacks and personal items were taken. See the caller and the employee at the grocery entrance.
What's that, DOC? Celsius. Okay.
Five 537 and 523, both can show clear that party's GOA.
523, Swift copy.
1605.
Calm before the storm.
You think so?
I don't know.
holidays were always hit or miss on patrol. You need to be super dead or you'd
super
fly domestics.
Yeah.
You know, siblings that haven't seen each other in a while. Get the disorderlies because someone might have parked in front of someone's driveway or too many cars on the street.
Yep.
Holidays are weird. They bring out some different personalities in people. Can be a stressful time of the year as well for people.
Yeah.
339 for EOT.
Have a good night.
Heard that EOT means end of tour.
Spot 533.
Go ahead.
St. Paul
Changes
Squad.
to an APD. It'll be assisted with downtown.
9174, 9273.
So,
9273.
Third property retrieval, C caller 2070 County Road E, Echo in a Genesis to go to 1813 Cedar.
I copy.
New
so
message.
copy.
New message. New message.
291.
Carol, 3, Charlie. Table. John, 558.
Copy General City, Cleveland, 607.
I am not looking forward to all the darkness in my day, though.
Yeah, it gets dark so early.
Wake up, it's dark.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
536, and I'll go with some of the narcotics.
Received.
4471. 4471. You can clear out that noise complaint. I took care of it over the phone and then put myself in or two in the area on that side. Copy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
is that the one?
Yeah. Yup.
New message. New message.
$82.95. 82.99 Palmer Drive. Number 414 on a
Well,
Walker check.
There's not much going on. We'll go a couple more minutes, but this absent anything going, we'll probably cut it a little early. As you can tell, I think going into Thanksgiving we've ran out of material. Don't really have much to talk about today. Information overload kind of day.
Yes, that was.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot.
622.
281.
Get this application to see currently. Look.
Guess my only message is be safe during the holiday weekend. Enjoy it. Spend time with your families.
Plan a sober ride.
Yeah, if you decide to go out tonight, Uber is at the tip of our fingers as a society nowadays. So.
Yep.
324.
4669 Powder Lane. Fire in the township. Residential fire alarm. Covers basement smoke detector.
617.
New message.
369.
Well, what do you think? You want to give him a send off there, Joe?
Well, everyone have a good holiday. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Eat a lot of food.
Run this. It's running, but unoccupied. Wisconsin, Adam Sam George, 1696.
Minnesota.
Wisconsin.
New message.
From 10 minute current, and I go to that fire a lot closer. Number 673 there.
New message.
I guess reminder, please don't leave your cars running unoccupied. But with that, we're going to send you guys off into the holiday weekend. We will continue working, see what we come up with. Hopefully for St. Paul's sake, it's a quiet night, but there's always crime afoot. It's just trying to find it sometimes.
When we check in next week, let us know what your favorite foods were.
All right, thank you guys. You have a good thanks.
Y'all want to see
See what's happening at the Foundry tonight?
some pussy? Y'all want to see some pussy? You want to see some
don't.
pussy? Some white pussy.
That's a good flavor, good aroma. Good aroma.
Pink pussy.
It smells interesting. I quit smoking.
Do that dick still get on hard?
Stop.
I think we'll be back here. Smoking would affect your ability to get an erection. See, to be honest with you, she was grabbing for Pat's crotch.
She was reaching.
She was reaching for Pat's crotch, and that arrest her for criminal sexual conduct at that point, right? See what's happening at the Foundry tonight? Make sure everybody's getting along.
How you doing?
Everybody getting along okay?
It smells like August 1st out here.
Looks like everybody's going back in.
It can't be us.
What?
It smells interesting out here.
That's a good flavor, good aroma. Good aroma.
What y'all say?
I said it's a
It
good
smells
aroma. It
nice
smells like
out here.
Y'all want to
cigars.
see some pussy?
No, I do not.
Do y'all want to see some pussy?
No,
Well,
thank you.
you just
Do you
got.
want to see
No,
some
don't.
pussy?
No, we don't want to.
No,
Okay.
but
Do
thank
you
you.
want to see some white pussy?
No.
Pink pussy.
We're here to keep people safe. Did you know where the
Keeping
police?
our own self safe.
got a light?
Huh?
I quit smoking January 31st.
Do that dick
I
still?
ain't
Do
had-
that dick still get on hard?
Stop, young lady.
Boy, fuck that. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Not everybody represents our society that well, but for the most part, like we said, most people are good. How's it going? We got quite a turnout. I don't think they're all going to fit.
No, we got a full house.
Yeah. I think we'll be back here. That's my prediction.
I'm afraid you're
That's
right.
my prediction. It's 11 o'clock.
Afraid you're right.
11 o'clock. People are pretty well intoxicated already. Little conflict going on in the parking lot already. I think we're going to be back here. But let's see what the east side looks like first, huh? I did. One thing I did learn there is I never heard that smoking would affect your ability to get an erection.
Goodness gracious.
She was. You know why I drove away backseaters? To be honest with you, she was grabbing for Pat's crotch.
She was reaching.
She was reaching for Pat's crotch, and that we didn't want to get to that point. For a variety of reasons, but we would have to arrest her for criminal sexual conduct at that point, right?
Yeah, that was.
So
Yeah. If her mom was listening, she's going to get her mouth washed out with soap.
yeah. She yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
A couple more police cars here. In our travels.
1907 Marshall Avenue, Unit 2.
brother.
Caller stated he left
We got a
for 2
problem.
hours when he got
We're
back.
here,
The
huh?
doors open. Didn't know if anybody was
Holy
inside. The doors already damaged, so he's not sure if somebody answered.
We get calls here all the time. Over. 220 Robert. Oh, here's some. Looks like a party. No. Looks like they got security there.
Like some big guys.
Look at all the cars here. Oh my goodness. Hey, any county spots? If you're not doing anything, float over here to 200 South Robert. Got that building where we always get calls later on, but there is one mega party here.
Man, it's
Mega
tight.
party. We're gonna have to. I don't know if we can get in, get out, get around. We'll let them know the police are here though, just so that they feel more comfortable. Well, here we go. Hey, Santa! Santa, come here a minute. What's the occasion here? What was it? A Halloween party?
Yeah, we just
Cool. Cute outfits, huh? Yeah, we're not here to cause any trouble, but it's a lot of people, huh?
Yeah, that's all we have.
You guys good though?
Yes, we're trying to find our Uber.
All right.
Good luck. See you later. Thank you. I hear yelling at the front door.
That's music.
Oh, like I said, look
Yeah.
at all the cars here, Rev.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. What time is it?
He said it's crowded. He said that's why I'm leaving. 12:42.
I'm sure that's a fire code. It's been closed. Oh, Jason! Jason! Jason, what's going on? Are you gonna kill anybody or what? Good party or not? Good. How about you? You guys going in or just leaving? All right. Be safe. Have a good Halloween.
We're talking with the victim here for this bus. Check the area. We'll give you that suspect description here in a second.
Well,
How big motor bus in the
How
area?
did they park him in here?
they double parked them. They double parked them. Well, there's like 2 different parties here. How's it going, girls? Hello. How's it? Let's see if there's security here. What's going on? How's the party going? Oh, I want to see the costumes. Security?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Just checking in, just making sure you're safe.
We get people out of here. About the end.
Is it about the end?
Yes, it's about the end right now.
Where your backup? Where your
my
backup?
backup's inside. I got inside.
No, I said where your backup? We are your backup.
Thank you.
Hey,
How y'all doing?
did you see? Hey, here's what I want to know.
Hey,
Hey, was there anybody here dressed as a cute girl?
No, there were some people passing out though, so we had to.
Oh, really?
That's why we shut down right
Well,
now.
looks like they're coming in now.
Well, see, the thing is, we shut down for an hour, then we reopened because we had to get the girl
She's
that
had
passed
no
out.
clothes on. What?
It was a girl. It was 2 girls that passed out in here and they was
What's-
in the bathroom.
Can-
Hey, brother, that's nothing. I just seen a girl in here with literally nothing on.
Really?
Literally a piece of string.
Wow.
Piece of string?
In this cold. It's crazy in there, brother.
Whose party is it? Somebody
It's one of the venue guys. This is nephews, and he ended up going to college
you
or
don't see
something.
this lady.
He goes to the U of M. He's like
Oh.
a big internet sensation guy or something. So
Well, we're gonna just hang out by the front here. You go take care of your job.
Thank you, guys.
You doing metal?
There's
You
some creepy
doing
cars
metal
around.
detectors?
Yes, sir. They're inside doing metal detectors, but we're patting down at the door.
Good. Yeah, some of them you ain't gotta pat down.
No, pat down right here. Then we got a metal detector right here.
Some of them you might
Then we
not
got
wanna pat
two-
down.
We got 2 security guards inside.
Good for you. Good for you.
Right here, though.
Is there just one door?
No, there's one in.
Just one door. All right, thank you.
For suspect information, we just got white male, green coat, black ski mask. It was a pocket knife, average size, and last seen running eastbound from the address.
Well, this is a costume. I don't really know what these girls without any clothes on are
Copy,
pretending
white
to
male,
be.
green coat, black
What do you
ski
think?
mask, pocket knife.
What do you think?
Running eastbound from the address.
What do you think they're pretending to be? Come on, Rev.
Yeah. Let's see what the backseaters are saying.
That is a common thing, though, to wear skimpy clothing. A lot of people want to get into this gathering.
Well, that red Audi never recovered. The what?
287 second to PKP is on the
Couple kids next to it.
Where's the post?
The gas station right now.
Go ahead.
No, just put it pencil together in uni.
Got it, where's-
It's clear. The one with the picture was a SUV. Okay. I thought there was one. I forget. I thought there was one with Damon and somebody else. But
Yeah, they were in the picture, but we were never able to figure out if it was stolen or not. We assumed it was. SWAT team! SWAT team! Hey, Odie, if you can run down here to 200 Robert just to hang out in the parking lot with us here as they clear them out. You're too close. What do you think? What's the backseater saying? Are we rating these costumes? All right, tell us the best costumes as you see. We need some good ratings. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Here comes Jason again. I don't think we're gonna let everybody in. Say close.
My question is, he closed for an hour, then open back up.
Yeah, I'm not sure any of that was true. But it's only 33 degrees here. I'm gonna back up in case somebody comes out with a... How about that girl over on the left there with the zebra underwear? And she got zebra socks too, right?
Right.
I can see why Santa and his elf left.
Yeah, they didn't exactly fit in.
Well, I don't know what that, but it's obviously very crowded, very stressful. There must be some serious dance. I'd like to. Why don't you go in there and get a video of the dancing?
That's okay.
Where's Andre when you need him?
4493 traffic. What's anything?
Guess what? You might find that guy in the onesie.
One second,
Down
one
here?
second.
Yeah, if he's coming to the Halloween party. I don't know.
9 meters, it's going to be Foxtrot Hotel Bravo 894. 736
Quite a mix of people.
Very.
What do you call it? Eclectic? Or what's the word for that? I don't know.
Good.
124. How's it going, guys? No. We're just helping keep people safe.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, found it. There you go.
You guys are here, making a lot of money, making it smooth.
Yeah, nobody gets hurt when we're here.
Surely, and there's no one in the entryway.
It's a lot of people.
Come on, that girl's gotta be freezing, right?
Right. It's gotta be. Unless she got a lot of juice.
What the hell's going on there? Ooh, the car was going to get very close to each other there. What's that? Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman. Oh, here's the onesie with the dragon coming up here. Wait, come here, what are you? Okay, Toy Story. Toy Story. To infinity and beyond. There's an inmate. Where is he? What's my speaker? Hey, inmate. Inmate from the Ramsey County Sheriff. Yes, you with the orange jumpsuit. You with the orange jumpsuit. Step back. Step back there, inmate. Inmate, come over here, inmate. You got out of your cuffs. Come back over here. Inmate, an orange jumpsuit. We want to see that. We want to see that costume. We want to see if there you go. Thank you, inmate.
Wow.
124. 124. You put me on a daily at University in Albert.
The later it gets, the better our jokes are.
Copy. 15 minutes.
Where'd the zebra pants go?
I hope she went in the car with some heat.
I think she did. That car's backing off. There goes Wonder Woman again. You know, anytime there's large numbers of people, most of them don't seem intoxicated, do they?
No.
Clear deal with 3 2. You can tell me that other.
I saw marijuana isn't too prevalent, so. Are you cold? Are you cold?
Male speaking fast, saying that he loves us.
5183 channel.
All right. Well, if your friends are down here at 200 South Robert at the
5245 calling out North Unit 2 for a CDP. Caller claiming someone was trying to get into the apartment from the apartment above by knocking down the ceiling of her 25 minutes ago.
The picture might be better. I don't know. Whoa, there's another crowd coming.
And they just keep coming.
They only can go out one door, so I don't know what's happening.
And 329, you can actually disregard. We got a hold of the caller with accidental.
You know, if we had a big hall, we could hold some good parties.
Thank you.
We just invite people.
Right.
54 minutes.
Is that little Red Riding Hood? Hello, Riding Hood.
Your case number is 198376. 198376. Which one did you tell us?
How's it going, partner? Good, how are you? Good. You guys out here chilling? Just chilling. Just keep people safe.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. But.
3928 arriving. Heading miles 913.
So they must go in and say, hey, the police at the door. One by one, they come out and ask us what we're doing.
She had cat whiskers on.
2770.
I bet they're telling people we're a little bit crowded.
2770.
You got a fellow call pending for missing person. I'm out with her at Marion and University.
Copy,
Nice
Marion
boots, huh?
University.
Oh, wow.
Nice boots. And what do we got coming here? What do we got coming here? What's that? I don't think costumes are like when I was young, we'd put a costume on.
117.
She's got a cane with her, too.
117.
Can you meet 2770 at Marion and University for a missing person that they are currently with?
There's our runaway
Universal call,
prisoner.
that's 590
Runaway
along
prisoner
there.
in the stripes. Right there, number 842.
117, copy.
No, not me.
Thank you.
Oh, is this the police?
The Boston Celtics. There's another inmate. People like the inmate. How's it going?
Oh.
Looking good. Good costume. Good costume.
That's 101 to copy. University Avenue West and Snelling Avenue North. Caller states on University heading towards Dale. There are two groups of people on each side of the street. Caller stating they were passing around a black 9mm. Male with a white sweater was the last one seen with a firearm. The male is also wearing a mask. There's approximately 12 people on each side of the street.
Interesting. Good.
Copy. Can we get a better location?
Follow that one.
No, you deal very far away. 124, I believe. They just walked past me. They're going eastbound from Albert.
Yeah, we're going to end up right at that address we were
Copy,
at.
going eastbound for Albert.
Just info, I didn't see anyone with a handgun.
Copy.
168, are any threats being made, or are these juveniles, or are they just adults at this point?
But yeah, question?
I believe they're all to be juveniles. Just a group of them walking amongst themselves, not making threats to anyone.
This young man that was in an essential shirt.
There's about 6 on the north side and 6 on the south side, both walking in the same direction.
By making sure that he don't.
You're from the north side, 6 on the south
He
side.
tries to get back. Come and get us.
We've also had multiple callers stating that this is a hot fire.
For highly intoxicated female.
I don't know. Southeast corner of Robert and Plato.
Thank you. 15 minutes. Copy, you'll be cleared in. Copy, starting medics, 58 minutes.
Hey, buddy.
So that was the one that took his shirt off.
Which one?
He took his shirt off.
I got my camera, see if I can watch it for a little bit, see if I can see it there.
Back there behind the.
Who?
He's behind the dumpster. He said.
Okay, behind us.
Behind us. Said he hit a woman.
171.
Hey, miss. I have a question.
Hamlin University
Question.
is also
So,
a group of 6.
that's a black halo, okay, on your head. Does that mean you're like an angel or a devil or?
No, I think I'm an angel.
You're an angel?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's better. That's
we just want to check.
Exactly. Not nothing with the devil.
Now that I see your smile like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
We gotta go.
According to the original complainant, yes, the male with a white sweater was the last one with the gun. White sweater with a face mask.
Copy. We're now walking eastbound on the north side of
There's a lot of people here, Reverend. To be honest with you, just as many have come as have left, right?
Somebody said
Subject wearing a
inmates
white
and
sweater
hookers
is
seem
walking
need poppy.
eastbound on University.
You know what? That's what those outfits are. Why didn't you tell me that earlier?
How many colors?
Those are hooker outfits.
Hooker outfits.
Dresses up like a hooker. Well, there's a lot of different cultures here. That girl's costume is too small.
Parkwood, Magnolia, Minnesota.
There's the zebra pants. There's the zebra pants. She came back and went in.
Berkeley, Magnolia, 0100.
You know if we leave here, there's going to be a fight, right?
As soon as we leave.
What's up, man? 100 Northside University between Syndicate and Hamlin.
Is this a kid party? Because they're not drinking.
Doesn't seem like it. I don't
The
know.
male on the north side, Syndicate
It's a
and Hamlin.
dance party, I think,
Give me
right?
the air, calling 10-1 at 101, Syndicate and Hamlin.
I don't know. I mean, I'm ready to leave, but I feel like something could happen here.
As soon as we take off.
Well, we're doing good community outreach. At least you are. I just need to arrest the 3 prisoners down here. I do suppose it is possible that we're contributing to the traffic jam. Although there's nobody behind us. Everybody's going the other way.
171, we have one guy with a gun.
Copy, male with a male with a gun.
They have not seen each other in a long time.
I don't know about that. Oh, there's probably some girl texting him on the phone. Yeah.
There's another one.
From the south that's kind of moving north.
She used to wear that in 4th grade. That was her 4th grade outfit.
Wanted is Minnesota Kilo Uniform Delta 807 2024. Safety carjacking at gunpoint. Are also suspects in the shooting and from Delta 807 on a 2024 Jeep Compass silver in color. Vehicle is carjacked at gunpoint. Occupant suspect in shootings and multiple carjackings. Information sent to your screens at 102.
Officer safety, Steve, taking a carjacking at gunpoint. The occupants are suspects in a shooting and multiple other carjackings.
Oh, there you go.
Well, vehicle does 2024 silver Compass, Kilo Uniform Delta 807.
Silver Jeep Compass.
We have 5 individuals.
Most important car of the night here. Kilo Uniform Delta, KUD. Well, one of the Dallas cheerleaders is here. 807. Dallas Cowboys, did you see that?
I saw that.
Two broke off and they got on the platform at
Silver Jeep Compass,
Hamlin
brand new,
Union,
2024.
Once we started stopping people, they started walking away westbound.
Copy, just confirm you said 5 were detained.
Kill your headlights there, Joey.
171.
Most of the one we have about 3 guys that have guns and AR-15.
Well, they got some guys with a lot of guns up there.
Copy. 3 have AR style guns.
Jesus, criminy.
You know what, suspects or officers?
Yeah, good question.
I'm sorry, go again.
I'll turn the heat up. You're going to open the window a little more.
There go another one.
228.
322, copy. You're out to the assist medics on the Sulphur 1115 George Avenue. 104.
We've got the 5 names. They're still working out the situation. I think there's another group on the other side of the street, but they're all both working out. They got a lot of help there.
Your group on the south side doesn't have any firearms on them.
Copy. The group on south side does not have any firearms.
Well, here we are, 2023, and I can tell you, it is cold out here, 33 degrees, and these people have on nothing.
119K, was anybody free? We need someone to go to T to grab a rifle box.
Wow, interesting.
25. If they're all tied up, over in the last second, a rifle box from Central for their location.
Like I said, we got the other people on the south side too. Looks like they're all together.
Look at look at Bob. He's having a ball.
Why'd you bring us outside?
How'd he look?
He looks good.
Ew! Jesus Christ.
You want to see? That's when they come in.
Yeah. Fort Myers Beach. Come here a minute. I love it. Come here. Fort Myers. Have you been there? Huh? I love your hair too. Yeah. I think I saw you on Fort Myers Beach on the pier.
You think so?
On the pier. Yeah. Yeah. I love the Fort Myers Beach.
Thank you so much.
You know where the pizza place is there? Right on the pier. Yeah.
I do.
So what are you dressed up as?
I'm Lola Bunny.
All right. Very good. What's that? I love it. What's that one?
That's a burger.
How was the party? Have you been?
It's hot in there.
Yep. What was the end result of the? Did they say they had ARs or the cops did?
I didn't understand. Somebody had to go get a rifle box.
Okay. Oh, instead of. Yeah, I don't know. I think they need a traffic control officer. Well, I don't see a lot of intoxicated people. That's a good thing. How do you like that heat, Rev?
I feel it.
Yeah. Let's keep coming. You know, I think we got to open up our own party house.
Yeah, and these look like kids.
Yeah, they are. They're nice kids.
Hey.
Hey! Hey!
Bob's been ID'd.
Hey, this is just a Bob Fletcher costume. It's really it's a Bob Fletcher costume.
You record? He alive?
It's just a costume.
Two bags can cancel.
Copy, cancel, medic.
Who's that? The Prince?
What's his name? Playboy Mansion.
Oh, Hugh Hefner?
Yeah.
Was he Hugh Hefner? Now we got a Hugh Hefner here, huh?
That's 329.
Well, we're going to see if somebody is why don't you ask if anyone want to come to Trunk or Treat tomorrow?
There's an East car that can assist on a domestic at the Pine Tree Park Apartments, 820 Hazel Street, North Unit 109. Caller said there's a male that's beating her up, currently separated, comes from the hallway. Suspect
I can't believe how many people are here.
Suspect is Kevin Moore and was looking for his drugs and then started hitting the caller.
100 on 100 as well. 306.
There's the inmate.
329, do you copy?
329, copy.
With 316, and the caller's going to be waiting near the front door at 111.
This must be the place to come, huh?
Must be. At least you knew about it.
Turn the temperature of this heat up a little bit, Rev.
Huh?
We're turning the temperature up a little bit. Up. Like a kind of hotter.
Oh, yeah.
With the windows open at 33 degrees.
Hey, 43, investigate.
8843.
Showing me 2315 10th Street with Charlestown Robert 200.
There's another inmate.
2315 10th Street at 112.
Right, Jeff.
Second.
Anyone, any of the group that's on the south side, they're like past cracks right now. Focus them on camera here in a little bit.
So we don't have all the details on that call on Union Snelling, but clearly that was some citizen.
Hey,
How's it going? Some citizen saw the gun being moved and called, and now the officers are stopped them, and they have several guns. But it's just a great example how we're dependent upon citizens calling us. You can be anonymous, but let us know what you see, because those anonymous calls or those little tips, they lead to gold so often. Probably stopped a major shooting, major event. Here comes it. So, just another example.
See something, say something.
Yeah, don't hesitate. We like those calls because they lead to other stuff, you know.
Right.
What's the around the IC? What about now?
Top of the IC, 113.
We've had several calls here in the past. The amazing thing is we haven't had any calls here tonight.
Yeah.
It's obviously a loud and robust party. I didn't say rambunctious, but robust. I just wonder where everybody's coming from. That's just getting here now, right? You got to wonder, right?
What's the address? What's your name? Fred. I'm the driver. That's why I Hi, Fred. Hi, Fred.
Officer Court. What's going on?
Officer Court.
What's going on? How are you?
I love y'all, man.
Thank you. Keep you safe.
Yep.
St. Paul Youth Services. He's got a new building.
Yeah.
Copy for group minute call.
I got a secret bus on camera. There's like 6 of them wearing all black.
Sergeant Suki's working on the other.
There's 6 like red hoodie.
There was 2 groups originally. Come down Lexington University. The second group they didn't detain, and Suki's got eyes on them up at Lexington University. They're gonna have a conversation. May have been 2 groups out to shoot it out.
May have been. That's interesting. But
I bet there's a few guns in the cars around here, huh?
yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. I bet some of them carry. But I would get the vibe that these are.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, they know they can't bring it in.
57 Grand Avenue at Billy's on Grand for an assault. Caller stated she was choked.
Once they're in the red sweatshirt with the white stripe. He's walking away along with another guy with the white sweatshirt. They're going behind the White Castle.
Obviously, group behind the White Castle.
Well, we're probably gonna have to blow this pop stand and hope everything stays safe, huh?
Yeah, 'cause I hear a couple places.
Getting a little busy out there, and what time is it? 1:16. Jesus, people are still coming down here. We might come back though. As soon as we get a clear shot out of here, we'll take it. Well, party's over.
Checking.
All right, well, as much as I think this is important, it's too much stuff starting to pop off. No, come with us. Yeah, up on Uni somewhere. Grand. Thank you. Who are you gonna kill, Jason? Who are you gonna kill?
Everybody.
Everyone. Oh, there's another one.
Wow. I mean, they're there in numbers.
416.
Well,
It's your first caller here now. There's some people pretty close.
those types of events, really, the police department's got to make some proactive visits too, as well. You know, it's
Negative, it looks like they were all 911 only phones.
too many people in one spot.
And by all, there's only 2 callers.
And then are they both 911 officers?
I'll have to verify.
So it sounds like it's getting busy again.
Yeah, people walking the streets with guns, trying to pass them back and forth. You know, 1 to 2 at these bars, always busy. Come back here after things settle down. See what's happening.
How late do you think that goes?
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it doesn't appear to be selling any alcohol.
Well, he said we were wrapping it up pretty soon, but then there was no evidence of wrapping up, was there?
No.
Right, buddy?
I didn't.
Yes?
What's his name?
Right.
Darren was
Yeah, what did he say?
moved, location moved or something to.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere.
All right.
It's a red Hyundai.
Mute. Come on, Rev. Jesus. You guys, you know, Rev has a hard time hitting the target with his pointer finger. And when we need to mute, he just needs to hit the pointer finger. We're going to stop back at the great collection of Halloween costumes, the majority of which were whores.
Criminals.
Oh, yeah, I had a few criminal costumes. Yeah, it's big. Nobody was dressed up as a cop.
Not in this day and time.
All right, gentlemen. I have to call tonight. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you. Well, there's a lot of...
Good night.
A lot less cars. First thing we see, convicts.
Have a good night, Fabio. Good luck.
Sir, you're under arrest. For what? Well, for escape from jail.
Later, jump up. See you next week.
228.
You got a prisoner costume on.
Right.
No,
You ought to have been easy.
Not many left.
You drinking a bottle?
Nurse Chapel, can I get some whiskey?
Whiskey? We
Yeah.
don't know whiskey. Bro.
What do you got in there, right hand?
Huh?
What's that one?
That ain't me, love.
And I ain't driving, so. And it's my birthday, so.
It's a
Y'all
birthday.
can't do shit. Y'all can't do shit. I'm 23. Y'all can't do shit. Val, come on.
Oh, yeah, we're costume. This is a costume car.
Yo, what's
Costume.
What you know? Hey, dap me up.
No, listen, I can't.
Can I get a hand fist too?
Of course, but you can't be.
You eating a Snicker? Y'all look like y'all having fun.
Seriously, you can't be drinking in public.
Okay, so there's
Guys don't drink.
By the way, there was hardly anybody drinking here tonight. It was good.
Can you breathalyze me?
Bravo, 132 DOT.
Hey, what's that? Can I get some?
That's my mom's almond joy. I wish I had extra.
Somebody who does not know the law. Poor child.
Are you the navigator?
Huh?
Are you the navigator?
You're actually a fine looking old man. I like your hair for that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, look, that's that. You good looking.
Well, appreciate that. You guys are adorable.
Thank you.
Can you pull over, Tom? See where he's at.
Okay.
What do you got there, Dark Side? Hey, what is that? A cartoon, Dark Side, or what is that?
I don't know. I just saw it at the store. I liked it.
You liked it?
You guys have a safe night.
You too, thank you. Got a sweatshirt on that says Dark Side. And
You don't even know what it means.
sounds like a cartoon on an adult channel or something. But if you turn your phone on, people are going to tell you what it is. Did you get your mom's back? Here, you said you wanted one.
Let's see. What is dark side? Come on, people, let us know.
Maybe it's like south side. Hey, here's the onesie. Spider-Man.
Dark side from Star Wars.
Is that?
Yeah. The TV show.
Can I rub it?
Sure. Can you still back up?
Darren said we need to go to 345. You know what 345 is?
You know, it's the address of your office.
Oh, okay. I told them you cared about it.
We need to go there, or he needs to go there?
We need to go.
Okay.
You can't go alone.
Well, it can't be anything going on there now, can it?
Yeah. Happens every night.
321, we're getting voicemail 2 times.
323 Tango, we're out in the alley here.
Sure, what's about they can start pretending Street North, Unit 712, callers stating that there are officers pounding on their door.
See what's happening at the Foundry tonight?
Some pussy. Y'all want to see some pussy?
No,
Want to see some
don't.
pussy? Some white pussy.
That's a good flavor, good aroma. Good aroma.
Pink pussy.
It smells interesting. I quit smoking.
Do that dick still get on hard?
Stop.
I think we'll be back here. Smoking would affect your ability to get an erection. Yeah. See, to be honest with you, she was grabbing for Pat's crotch.
She was reaching.
She was reaching for Pat's crotch, and that arrest her for criminal sexual conduct at that point, right? See what's happening at the Foundry tonight? Make sure everybody's getting along.
How you doing?
Everybody getting along okay?
It smells like August 1st out here.
Looks like everybody's going back in.
It can't be us.
What?
It smells interesting out here.
That's a good flavor, good aroma. Good aroma.
What y'all say?
I said it's
It
a good
smells
aroma. It
nice
smells like
out here.
Y'all
cigars.
see some pussy?
No, I do not.
Do y'all want to see some pussy?
No,
Well,
thank you.
you just
Do you
got.
want to see
No,
some
don't.
pussy?
No, we don't want to.
Oh, okay.
but
Do
thank
you
you.
want to see some white pussy?
No.
Pink pussy?
We're here to keep people safe. Did you know where the
Keep
police?
our own self safe.
got a light?
Huh?
I quit smoking January 31st.
Do that dick
I
still?
had-
Do that dick still get on hard?
Stop, young lady.
Boy, fuck that. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, not everybody represents our society that well, but for the most part, like we said, most people are good. How's it going? We got quite a turnout. I don't think they're all going to fit.
No, we got a full house.
Yeah. I think we'll be back here. That's my prediction.
I'm afraid you're right.
That's my prediction. It's 11 o'clock.
Afraid you're right.
11 o'clock. People are pretty well intoxicated already. Little conflict going on in the parking lot already. I think we're going to be back here. But let's see what the east side looks like first, huh? I did. One thing I did learn there is I never heard that smoking would affect your ability to get an erection.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
She was. You know why I drove away, backseaters? To be honest with you, she was grabbing for Pat's crotch.
She was reaching.
She was reaching for Pat's crotch, and that we didn't want to get to that point. For a variety of reasons, but we would have to arrest her for criminal sexual conduct at that point, right?
Yeah. If her mom was listening, she's going to get her mouth washed out with soap.
Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
A couple more police cars here in our travels.
Looks like a tow truck.
FBI investigates high-level aide to sheriff. By Mara H. Gottfried, Pioneer Press. Published February 2nd, 2007 and updated November 14th, 2015. Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher said Friday the FBI is investigating a high-level civilian aide in his department. Mark Nalen, a public information officer and Fletcher's friend, is being investigated for allegations of criminal conduct, the sheriff said. Fletcher declined to detail the allegations. No other county employees were being investigated, he said. Nalen, 46, didn't return calls Friday. His lawyer, Paul Rogoshesk, declined to comment. The allegations are ones the FBI is obligated to investigate, Fletcher said. If they prove true, Fletcher said, I would be shocked, but I'll let the investigation run its course. Fletcher hired Nalen in 1998. Nalen served as best man at Fletcher's wedding in 2004. Fletcher narrowly defeated former St. Paul Police Chief Bill Finney in November to win another term. The FBI contacted Fletcher about its investigation into Nalen for the first time Friday and asked for a meeting, the sheriff said. Agents requested documents and access to employees for interviews. Fletcher said his office is cooperating. An FBI spokesman said the agency does not confirm or deny whether an investigation is taking place. The sheriff's office will launch an internal affairs investigation, Fletcher said. Nalen is on vacation out of state and his employment status with the department didn't change Friday, Fletcher said. Typically, we take the approach that a person is innocent until proven guilty, Fletcher said. When Fletcher hired Nalen as public information officer, his friend didn't have a background in law enforcement or media relations. He's certainly one of the hardest workers at the sheriff's office, said Fletcher, who added that information from Nalen's community contacts has led to dozens of felony arrests. Nalen, who has lobbied for the sheriff's office at the legislature, is hoping to get a part-time peace officer's license and start a career in law enforcement this year, Fletcher said. Nalen's salary is $64,660. Nalen's name surfaced in a gambling investigation by the Minnesota Department of Public Safety's Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division in 2003. The investigation focused on Nalen's friend, Michael Ogren, who then owned a bar called Rock in Maplewood. Acting on a tip, investigators raided the bar July 14, 2003, and found people playing blackjack, craps, and roulette. That night, Ogren told investigators he sent gambling proceeds from his annual game nights at the bar to Fletcher's re-election campaign. I think in the past couple of years we can go back. I have the canceled checks from right after this tournament that can substantiate that, Ogren said, according to a transcript of the interview. The next day, Fletcher directed a sheriff's inspector to ask state investigators to interview Ogren about his allegation and investigate further, according to a July 2003 sheriff's office memo. According to the same memo, the State Department of Public Safety declined to pursue the allegation. A state investigator there told the sheriff's department inspector that investigating the Fletcher allegation doesn't fit the department's job and that it doesn't care where the money goes, according to the memo. On July 16, 2003, the sheriff's inspector interviewed Ogren, who recanted his statement about routing gambling proceeds to Fletcher's campaign. Ogren told the inspector that making the allegation about Fletcher was stupid on my part and a bad case of judgment, according to a transcript of the interview. In the meantime, the Commissioner's Office of the Department of Public Safety reviewed Ogren's allegation and referred it to the FBI, according to Assistant Commissioner Tim Leslie. Leslie said he does not know what became of the referral. In October 2003, the Ramsey County Attorney's Office charged Ogren with gambling, a felony. Ogren did not enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. He agreed to complete 100 hours of community service and, after remaining law-abiding for 1 year, the County Attorney's Office dropped the charge against him. Ogren did not return a call Friday. Nalen was deposed in 2005 as part of an unrelated lawsuit against the Sheriff's Department. Nalen said in the deposition that he was gambling at the Rock Bar the night of the raid, but left before investigators arrived. He was not arrested or charged. They gamble everywhere, Nayland said when a lawyer questioned him about gambling. Why is it illegal? I don't think gambling's a crime. Ogren now owns the Myth nightclub in Maplewood. Fletcher said Nayland moonlights for Ogren as security director at Myth.
Ramsey County Employee Resource Groups respond to Sheriff Fletcher's February 21st letter. These words are the collective voice of sponsors that represent the employee resource groups of Black Excellence, Asian Descent Network, BOSE's, Pride, and supported employees' efforts manifest equity. As leaders in Ramsey County who represent and lead our racially and ethnically diverse employees in our employee resource groups, ERGs, we condemn the racist actions, the inactions toward enabling the health and care of our residents in the Adult Detention Center, and lack of direct response and budget accountability of Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher in his February 21, 2023 written response to the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners. In that letter, only 4 commissioners were identified, named, acknowledged, and listed. We have 7 commissioners on the Ramsey County Board. The 3 board members not named are from the Black/African American, Asian, and Latinx communities. 4 white leaders named and 3 leaders from racial and ethnically diverse communities completely dismissed through a racist act of omitting them in a public document as publicly elected and important leaders representing residents in our county. This has been a pattern of behavior for Sheriff Fletcher, and this explicit act of racism in trying to silence the voices of leaders that represent communities most impacted by the recent violence in community is unacceptable and reflects the incompetent and harmful leadership of our sheriff. This needs to be stopped now. This is an intentional effort to create an us versus them environment that contributes to the inherent racism that is still so pervasive in law enforcement as demonstrated by Fletcher's office. It's an intentional act to get people to call him a racist. This is done so people pick sides. It's a provocation to distract from the harmful behavior of not adequately caring for the people who reside in the Adult Detention Center, under the leadership of the sheriff. These tactics are rooted in white supremacy, harm everyone, especially people most impacted by the criminal justice system, and it must be stopped. Acts like this impact our residents and the racially and ethnically diverse people working with and on behalf of residents in Ramsey County. In 2020, after the murder of George Floyd, staff that identify as Black/African American came together to support one another after this inherent act of racism and violence directed toward Black people in Minnesota. As a result, our employee resource groups were launched. ERGs are voluntary, employee-led groups that are designed to promote inclusion and build a sense of belonging in our work community. ERGs align with our mission of the County of Excellence, working with you to enhance our quality of life. ERGs are aligned with our vision of a vibrant community where all are valued and thrive, and they align with our values of people, integrity, community, leadership, and equity. Our collective purpose is to help employees build connections through common bonds with colleagues. When any one of us steps outside of the mission, vision, and values in a way that is racist, dismissive, disrespectful, and offensive, it harms all of us. Black Excellence is guided by the 21 Standards for a Healthy African Community. These standards, values, and principles guide the socialization and education of African children, families, and community. All standards apply to this situation, but it's important to focus on a few here. Treat every member of community with love and respect. Celebrate each other's success. Work through problems together. Hold each other accountable to what is right and good. When failure comes, be willing to receive support and accept responsibility. In addition, psychological safety, connection, leadership, self-advocacy, relationship, personal responsibility, and building allyship through a shared vision and shared power among all groups at Ramsey County are traits that the Asian Descent Network ERG values in its vision and goals. The supported employees' efforts manifest equity, or SEME ERG, historically understands and knows the injustice that occurs when exclusion is masked regarding decision-making powers/capabilities. As leaders and staff in ERGs, we often present before the county board and county leadership. The actions, inactions, and how we model or do not model our core values of elected officials and leaders are observed and experienced by us individually and collectively. It impacts our work environment, our mental well-being, and how we serve our residents. We appreciate the response that the collective board provided to Sheriff Fletcher in their letter dated February 24, 2023. The continued horrific and racist behaviors of the sheriff create harm for our staff and community. These words in the county board's response are important for all of us to see in print and allows us to feel supported, valued, and invested in as we all work as public servants to invest in our community. We call for the sheriff to be held accountable for his racist tactics and actions that are an act of white supremacy that impact racially and ethnically diverse communities, specifically people that identify as Black/African and American Indian. He owes all of us an apology and an authentic commitment through tangible actions to repair the harm that he and his office have done to people. We need a leader who is willing to be the sheriff for all of us and not just some of us. He has lost the trust of many people and cannot be capable of protecting and serving our entire Ramsey County community.
All right, sorry we were muted for a little bit. We're just exchanging some intelligence information with the St. Paul squad there and some possible addresses of some criminal suspects, which we didn't want aired before we actually go swing by those addresses. Hope you can understand that.
Yeah, we don't want them to know that we know the addresses.
100 years ago, though, we would have just told them, okay, son, you got till sundown to get out of town. Till sundown. All right. Sorry we were muted for a little bit. We're just exchanging some intelligence information with the St. Paul squad there and some possible addresses of some criminal suspects, which we didn't want aired before we actually go swing by those addresses. Hope you can understand that.
Yeah, we don't want them to know that we know the addresses.
100 years ago, though, we would have just told them, okay, son, you got till sundown to get out of town. Till sundown. All right.
I am independent journalist Georgia Ford. Thank you so much for joining us. This morning, we're going to turn to a situation that is unfolding in Ramsey County. The sheriff there, Bob Fletcher, is under fire now currently after being called out for some racially charged remarks he made during a live stream. Oftentimes, he goes live on his Facebook and his YouTube. He's received more than 13 million views on these live streams. He says that each night he goes, what he says, live on patrol in order to build trust in the community so that there's some transparency for how he operates when he's out on calls. And, you can hear all of these sidebar conversations that he has with either other people who are in the patrol with him or people on the street. And so this footage that we're going to show you, it shows him making a statement that references something that would be considered violent for people who came before us. Take a listen, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about this.
All right, sorry we were muted for a little bit. We're just exchanging some intelligence information with the St. Paul. All right, sorry we were muted for a little bit. We're just exchanging some intelligence information with the St. Paul squad there on some possible addresses of some criminal suspects, which we didn't want aired before we actually go swing by those addresses. Hope you can understand that.
Yeah, we don't want them to know that we know the addresses.
100 years ago, though, we would have just told them, okay, son, you got till sundown to get out of town. Till sundown.
So as you heard him there, he just made a joke about getting out of town before the sun's down. A sundown town is what a lot of people took away from that. And he has now been called out by city councilors as well as the community. But his response was that he had no idea what a sundown town was, and he was referencing old Westerns. And so I want to bring in Brother Carl Mack and Anthony Galloway to get your take on this. Do you think that his remark was innocent and he legitimately did not know? Or do you think that it is a way to cover up him in what some people would say was a dog whistle, him to cover up his own dog whistle?
I'm a resident of Ramsey County, first and foremost, and I think it's important to point out that these night drives by the sheriff are often into areas that already have a police force. So our county force it is not jurisdictionally supposed to be for places that already have their own police force. And in this case, in St. Paul has a police force. St. Paul has a police force that is doing their job. So it's all show. And I think that's an important part of it. The second piece is he's also, Ramsey County has had a huge equity initiative. So this either shows, one, that he absolutely did know and should have known that reference and just either ignored it, or hasn't been paying attention to the work that's been happening in the county around connecting these dots. So I'm in the camp firmly of you knew what the reference is and is just trying to backpedal. The second piece to that is his response continued to say is that's a reference to Westerns, and the people that they were talking to were white, as if somehow that absolves the impact on communities of color. So I'm in the camp of this is something that you should have known, and you just ignored either your training, your learning, or your experiences with the people of color in the very community that you serve.
Georgia, from my perspective, this is clearly an example of those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, which is why, you're not going to convince me, that sheriff will never convince me that he didn't understand the history between law enforcement and the African-American community, number one. I think it's clear, and to the reference that was already made, I know in Mississippi, I live in Hinds County, and we always knew in Rankin County, you better be out of Rankin County, quote unquote, before the sun goes down. And then we had a similar situation, as our brother described, where you had officers from Rankin County that would literally come over into Hines County, feeling empowered, feeling that feeling of superiority, of even chasing African-American folks out of town. So that the mere fact that he, quote, did not know, that's nonsense. I think he's playing, and again, this is part of what Trump has revealed to America, and that is the one good thing about what Trump did, was he gave folks and empowered people to the point that they think that they can come like this. And it's clear to me that that sheriff and his cowboys are playing to that Trump base, and that's what keeps his viewership up so live, is trying to capitalize off of racism. So the idea that he did not know, no, the history between law enforcement and the African-American community, that is known through and throughout.
And let's be clear. So if a black person was to go into a sundown town after sundown, what would happen?
Make no mistake about what was happening. I know back in Mississippi, and again, I'm not saying that this is germane to Mississippi, so I don't want folks to get twisted about this, because this situation is taking place in Minnesota. But when those cameras aren't rolling, it was common knowledge that you was going to get a beat down of epic proportion, so that you can now go back to the community and now spread that message. Don't get caught in Rankin County before the sun goes down. So, you know.
And was that in like the 20s, the 30s? Like what era was that?
No. This situation I'm talking to you about literally is happening right now in counties, just like it's happening in Minnesota. So that's the thing I don't want people to get confused, is when I say Mississippi, you know, I don't want to paint this narrative that it's just happening in the southern state of Mississippi and down in the South. This is happening all over the place.
Yeah.
So here we have the sheriff who he's live on patrol and he has someone in the vehicle with him. He mutes his audio so that they could discuss where they were going. And clearly, if you're live streaming, let's say you're going to a suspect's house who is watching, and then you say where you're going. Obviously, now the suspect knows that you're coming to them. So he muted his audio. And then he made a remark and he said, I hope you guys understand why we had to mute the audio. He said, but 100 years ago, you know, we would have just told the guy to get out of town before the sun goes down. And so it's a very clear reference that has some racially charged implications. And for him to play the card of being ignorant and, oh, I had no idea. And I think it's even, it looks bad on his behalf to say that he was referencing even Western movies. Why are you playing cops and robbers? Why are you playing cowboys on the job when people's lives are at stake here? And so I think for me, you know, knowing that he's been in this position, this is his second term, and either you're the lack of cultural competency to not even know that this is a thing, that this has and I don't buy it. I'll be clear, I don't buy it. I don't think that he was unaware that there was some racially sensitive insinuations with referring to a sundown town. I think he was very well aware, and I think it's very important that we begin to hold law enforcement agencies accountable, not just for what they do, but for what they say, because then we stop moving to a place of where we're reacting every time someone's killed, but then we start to move to a place where we can prevent people from being killed. Because if you have that type of bias or lack of care for other cultures, that you could say something so harmful and reference something that is violent, it has violent connotations for a specific group of people, there has to be accountability for that.
There's a very important piece here, and my brother, you mentioned not wanting to connect Minnesota and Mississippi. As a Minnesotan, I'm going to go ahead and connect Minnesota and Mississippi. We have a policy thing that's happening here historically. So racially restrictive covenants were on the books in many of our suburban areas and in parts of our urban areas, and only were removed with the passage of the Civil Rights Bill, and then had to be enforced de facto afterwards in a particular particular way, and law enforcement and local communities with this mentality were a part of that. I also need to mention the fact that, you know, if we're going to make reference to Westerns, this is also very problematic in a state where we have deep connections to our native communities. We have populations of Dakota and Anishinaabe people all the way back to the 1862 Dakota War here in Minnesota. So this idea of a sundown town, you know, reference to Westerns is extremely problematic for what Westerns represent to the native population, of which Ramsey County has a significant population. The other piece that I'll say, and this is underscored in James Lowen's book, Sundown Towns, of which one of our major cities, Edina, is referenced in there from Minnesota. Again, that connection to the Mississippi practice, right? So sundown towns may have been quote unquote illegal after civil rights legislation, but we have cities who remain, the demographics remain the same as they were prior or back in the days when racially restrictive covenants were legally on the books, and they're enforced in these cultural ways, from the culture of the policing in an area to the culture of the community in the area to the selling of real estate. So there are these deep connections to everything that is here, which just underscores how we do Mississippi nice here in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I've always said reason and stupid can never have a conversation. And so what that sheriff is trying to do now is through his stupidity trying to have a conversation with those of us who are reasonable. That whole mindset of that cop mentality, that cowboy mentality, you know, even Hollywood plays into it. You know, one of the law enforcement shows that used to have such incredible ratings, and I dare say it probably still does within law enforcement community, is the show Cops. You know, they want to be able to go out there and portray themselves as this all-encompassing patrol that is protecting the integrity. And then look who the victims are 9 times out of 10 on shows like that. So they're getting their training even through Hollywood, and they think of this in some kind of way as entertainment. There is no explanation that this cop, this sheriff would give to anybody of any common sense within our community to think that he did not know better. This is the culture within this profession, if you want to call it that. And I consider them thugs. And the reason I say thugs is because in the quintessential definition of the word thug, it means that a person knowingly does harm and wrong. And I'm not going to excuse his ignorance or his excuse as ignorance, that of not knowing. He absolutely knows the culture between law enforcement. And then of all places, we're talking Minnesota, we're talking about a place where the death of a brother, George Floyd, literally rocked the foundation of equality and police brutality in this country. He did not know that. No, I will absolutely not accept his quote unquote ignorance as a reason for that. He absolutely knew what he was doing. He knew what he was saying. And I say that he is playing to that Trump base, as many white law enforcement officers, as many Republicans in politics are doing. They're playing to that base for nothing more than power and acceptance within your community.
What we're looking at here, it was a situation that happened in Ohio, a little bit different, but similar, where you had the Ohio police chief who left a KKK note on the desk of a Black officer. We also saw something similar happen in Hamilton, Georgia, where the conversation between the chief of police and a colleague was caught on camera. And he said all of these racist things, including some very derogatory statements about Stacey Abrams. So we're continuously seeing, like, it's being revealed that the culture within these departments are very, very racist. And so it should not surprise us when unarmed Black men and women continue to be killed by law enforcement, because the culture, it cultivates that type of behavior. If you do not address it at its root, if you do not call it out and weed it out when it shows its head, just in the form of a little silly racist joke, if you don't call it out and weed it out, what do you think it is going to grow into? And so while I know it is extremely critical that we get legislation passed to address police accountability, I also think it's equally important that when we're not in session, that we continue to examine the culture within these departments, because I do not want to be here on this show next week, next month, or next year.
That's it.
Discussing police accountability because another Black person has been killed. What is it that we can do on the front end? How can we address situations like this so that we prevent more Black people being killed by police? This type of behavior within police departments is not only unprofessional, extremely unprofessional, but we have to move to a place as a society where it is unacceptable.
You know, Brother Galloway, I'm sure you and Brother Dixon probably picked up on the same thing I picked up on, Georgia, when you showed the clip. I'm tripping at the reaction of the Black officer. See, had that been me, I would have pulled a can of whoop ass out and commenced to open that can on any and everybody who was a part of. And
Come on.
Again, that goes to the saying, hunting ain't fun when the rabbit got a gun. But now look at him. You know,
come on,
on the brother. Just put a pair of oh, look at it, it's so funny. I'm telling you right now, it would have been a war up in that zone. Both of them cats would have got an absolute beat down of epic proportion.
Give me the response shot. Give us the 4-shot response shot, because I saw that.
Yes.
And Georgia, I'm like, part of the reason we can't get any progress.
This evening, the top cop in Ramsey County is fighting the allegations of racism and what commissioners call a pattern of disrespect. Our Caroline Cummings is here to explain this escalating tension between the county board and sheriff. It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, it really has, Frank. And a war of words between the county commissioners and Sheriff Bob Fletcher culminated today with a public rebuke of Fletcher. The Ramsey County Board wants him to apologize for addressing just 4 of 7 commissioners in a recent letter, leaving off 3 members of color. Now, Fletcher sent the letter in question to the board on Tuesday. It was in response to actions made by the commissioners earlier in the day. They implemented new oversight measures after the sheriff's office went over budget by more than $2 million last year. In his letter, Fletcher criticizes the board for what he calls a failure to act on crime and underfunding of law enforcement. On the letter, he left off three board members of color, prompting some members to call it a disrespectful, quote, act of racism.
He posted his letter publicly. I heard a lot of comments from community that said, why did he only send it to the white commissioners? So the perception is there. This is an act. I'm not calling him a racist, but his actions do lay out that this was a racist act.
Now, WCCO reached out to the sheriff for comment. He responded with another letter he sent to the board today, calling their allegations, quote, irrational and inaccurate. He went on to say, quote, obviously Commissioners Moran and Jung took office in January and only recently began serving on the county board and can't be held responsible for its past failures. Continuing, Commissioner Ortega has also worked with the sheriff's office in a professional, good faith manner and has demonstrated an openness to addressing the issues we've raised in the past. And Frank, the board says Fletcher has not come to meetings on public safety issues when asked.
I read the letter. It's not going to go away, this budget issue, I don't think, for a long time.
No, I don't think so either, Frank.
All right. Thanks, Caroline.
Ramsey County Employee Resource Groups respond to Sheriff Fletcher's February 21st letter.
Minnesota launches a pro-police charter school. The school, headed by a local sheriff, will be opening in fall 2022 in an attempt to convince young people to become cops. By Sarah Lom, November 2, 2021. Should cops be allowed to start their own charter school using public funds? This is the question facing residents in Ramsey County, Minnesota, the second largest county in the state. Ramsey County is home to Sheriff Bob Fletcher, the purveyor of a self-styled, cops-like YouTube channel called Live on Patrol. Fletcher started the live stream in late July 2020, in the middle of ongoing uprisings over the murder of George Floyd. His alleged intention was to build more trust between law enforcement officers and the public, though he has been accused of uttering racist comments during his broadcasts. Now, Fletcher and other Ramsey County Sheriff Department staffers have co-founded a charter school. The School of Leadership for Public Service, which is set to open next fall, would enroll students in grades 6 through 10 and has raised a host of red flags. First, there is much to be said about the parasitic presence of charter schools, especially in St. Paul, where Fletcher's school would be located. Charter schools have been authorized in the state of Minnesota since 1991, and over time they have grown exponentially in number, in Minnesota and across the country. These publicly funded, privately run schools have flourished under the banner of innovation and school choice, a benign-sounding concept that has played a major role in the increasing segregation and privatization of public education in the United States. The choice narrative also drains students and funds from the public school district, leading to less stability and, research shows, outcomes for marginalized students that typically fall far short of the beat-the-odds promises made by school choice proponents. It is strange, then, for a public employee such as Fletcher to add to this scattered playing field a charter school of his own. Most charter school staffers are not union members, meaning they are often paid less and afforded fewer benefits and job protections than educators at public schools. The Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, under Fletcher's leadership, has paid six-figure salaries to several employees, including Fletcher, who are simultaneously receiving a publicly funded pension. Fletcher has defended this practice as a much-deserved reward for a lifetime of contributions. There have been numerous other allegations of overspending and cost inflation associated with Fletcher's tenure as sheriff. Recent news reports have shown that Fletcher authorized $35,000 in Ramsey County funds for the creation of the School of Leadership for Public Service, under the tutelage of Donna Swanson, a former teacher who once taught Fletcher's children. Swanson is also listed as a lobbyist with the state of Minnesota for her work on behalf of the now-defunct group Students First, a market-based education reform outfit associated with Michelle Rhee. The payments to Swanson may amount to an illegal use of county funds, the Star Tribune noted, but they are also just the tip of the iceberg. Fletcher's new charter school was also announced and promoted via an official Ramsey County email address, even though Fletcher and others claim the two entities are separate. And then there is the very nature of the Fletcher-crafted charter school. It appears to be organized around directing students toward law enforcement careers, as part of Fletcher's stated goal to build bridges between community members and the police. Recently, Fletcher appeared before a Republican-convened legislative hearing on public safety at the Minnesota State Capitol, where he engaged in fear-mongering by warning legislators that the police reform measure currently on the ballot in Minneapolis will lead to an upsurge in crime if it passes in the November election. Critics of this hearing contend that only law enforcement officers were called to testify, thereby ensuring a one-sided look at these issues. The state of law enforcement in the inner-city metro is not good, Fletcher told the Republican lawmakers, perhaps referring to reports of an exodus of officers from Minneapolis's police force. Framing policing as an inner-city issue could be seen as another red flag from Fletcher, since critics allege that this is a racially loaded term favored by such pro-cop cheerleaders as Donald Trump. On November 2nd, Minneapolis voters will weigh in on a ballot amendment that asks whether or not the city's police department should be replaced with a to-be-determined Department of Public Safety. If the measure passes, public safety funds could be shared among several response teams, including those staffed by mental health providers or community violence prevention experts, in order to decrease the community's reliance on police officers. Supporters say this could be an important step toward ending the racist, militarized practices of the Minneapolis Police Department, a move deemed especially necessary in the wake of George Floyd's murder. Just as progress inches closer, in the form of the Minneapolis Police Reform Ballot Amendment, Fletcher and his supporters appear to be taking extreme steps, including starting their own pro-police charter school, in order to strengthen and maintain existing law enforcement practices.
One of the issues that's been really problematic, I was chair last year, Chair Fletcher's first year as chair since being elected. We knew we had a budget issue, 2 months into that year. And the accountability and the working with that department last year, not only on the budget issue, but on so many things, was just almost impossible, and the unwillingness to even attend or participate in working together. And I would really look to the sheriff here that it's time for him to support aligning accountability of his office to the values of this county and working together with the county manager and the deputy county manager and the service team model that we've established that works so well for the rest of this county. But without the cooperation of the sheriff, has really suffered and caused some harm in this county. And then I really think it's time for our community, our residents, the folks that live in Ramsey County, to be able to have a conversation around, is having an elected sheriff really the best way to address public safety and be held accountable in this community? Police chiefs are appointed throughout the state. I'm not saying it's always a better model by any means, but if you look at it from a transparency and accountable model, there's so much more there when an individual that has that kind of authority and that kind of power and that kind of impact in the community to at least have some accountability to a management system, in this case a county manager, and to an elected board such as the Ramsey County Board, versus total authority, total autonomy, and no accountability to anybody except for every 4 years when he runs or she runs for office. And I think it's time for us to have that conversation as a community. And what does that look like? You know, using the ability of us being the only home rule charter county in the state, or even having a conversation with legislators in public safety reform, and what does that look like in true comprehensive public safety reform? And I don't want to look backwards. I do want to focus on the present and moving forward, but I want to bring up a few issues that explain why I support this. Because there is this pattern of abuse of power that just has continued for 18 months. And even when Sheriff Fletcher was a sheriff over 8, 9, 10 years ago, you know, it's been reported, you know, that he's allowed his you know, for a better word, cronies or special people to retire. And within 30 days, he brings them back on at full salary, and they're collecting pensions. The lack of transparency and accountability, and just the disregard to how we manage and are accountable and responsible with taxpayer dollars. You know, we worked really hard to terminate 2 employees, extremely hard. Spent tens of thousands of dollars on that. And just recently, he rehired both of them. His chief deputy testified to the arbitrator on why we should not have to rehire these employees 2 years ago when the arbitrator was making a decision on whether the county had to do that or not. And the arbitrator, in a really rare decision, for the most part, which we're starting to see and understand here, not only in this, is he stood behind the county in that. But those 2 employees were rehired under the sheriff. One of them for sending hundreds of white supremacist, racist emails on a county computer, on county time, to county employees. And the harm and trauma it caused in this county when that occurred, but imagine the harm and trauma and when the sheriff decided to hire this individual back, what that cost to these individuals. The other employee was fired and terminated for stealing wages, recording false time, stealing taxpayer dollars, abusing our system, and was brought back to work in that same system that he so successfully, in his viewpoint, abused for years in stealing wages. We, and when I say we, I mean the county manager, his team, and this county board worked hard to protect the taxpayers from huge budget overruns. In 2019, as I mentioned before, for 10 months, the sheriff refused to work with the county to eliminate the projected budget overrun for the most part. There was a few meetings, but for the most part, he really would not work with us and recognize it. Refusing to meet at the same time, making decisions that exasperated his financial shortfall, making hires, investing in bikes. I mean, the list goes on and on. Continued to spend money knowing that his budget was going to come in at, you know, a potential $1 million or more in the shortfall. Then at the last meeting of the year, he brings the statue of peace to the meeting, knowing full well the county board had no choice in approving the $1 million overspent in his budget. What Bob do we believe in? The one that is holding a peace statue, or the one allowing and encouraging discrimination, racial bias, and racism and cronyism to flourish in his operation? The Bob that calls me to talk about police reform and leads with, we have to look at who we hire and how we hire. Or the Bob that hires individuals who have demonstrated the lack of values, that have demonstrated values and behavior that is totally at odds with the values of this county. The true test of character is what we do when we think no one is watching. In my opinion, Mr. Fletcher thinks no one is watching, and he fails the test of character. That's why I support the chair's recommendation for us to have this conversation about what are the next steps, for us to be bold, to ask the Department of Human Rights to come in and look and see and hold us accountable for what is happening in our county. I support changes in the management structure and the relationship with the sheriff's office, and I hope the sheriff supports that too, in a real meaningful way. I support the opportunity for the public to have a say in appointed versus elected sheriff. I am angered and saddened that with all the good work this county is moving forward on, that we spend so much time on the harm this sheriff is causing in our community. It just sucks the air out of the room. I will end sharing, I've been contacted by members of the community, which I know all of you have, and some are employees, some work in the jail, some are our deputies that work on the street, and some are community members that are watching and are paying attention, and they feel the same way. One outreach from a jail employee, and this is a direct quote: "Racism runs rampant throughout the jail." And I'm going to read a feedback I got from a community member. I believe most of you did receive the same. But in some ways, this community member can't say it, says it so much better than how I could say it. "Hello, I'm taking time out of my day to tell you that Ramsey County needs to get their house in order. It is unconscionable that the Superintendent, Steve Leiden, removed black officers from interacting with Chavez, including one officer already in the process of omitting him. Do you understand how condescending that is? This action says he thinks the officers, one, were unable to act professionally. This would never happen with white officers and is an indication of why people are in such a rage right now. The racism in policing and corrections runs so deep, and they are so oblivious to their own thinking, that a debacle like this is allowed to happen in this racially charged climate. I cannot understand how completely infuriating this is. I'm a white, middle-class, middle-aged woman. If I were a person of color, it would be exponentially worse, I'm sure. And then I find out the person in charge, who says he's reviewing the matter to see if any additional actions are necessary, is Sheriff Bob Fletcher, the man who can't control his own budget and has to beg the county board for additional $1 million of taxpayer dollars, and then turns around and rehires 2 corrections officers previously fired for misconduct who campaigned for him. This is why we're in this state right now. Policing and corrections is rotten to the core. It's old boys club of the very worst kind. Do the right thing. Be the change. Get your house in order and pressure everyone you can to throw out the bat, who have shown themselves to be so thoroughly entrenched in corruption and the systemic oppression of black people that we do not have time to redeem them. Do something. The world is watching. And the statement, the world is watching. We do not have time to redeem them. Do something. The world is time to. We do not have time to in corruption and the systemic pressure everyone you can to throw out the bat, who have shown themselves to be so thoroughly entrenched in corruption and the systemic oppression of black people that we do not have time to redeem them. Do something. The world is watching. And the statement, do the right thing. Be the change. Get corrections officers previously fired necessary is Sheriff Bob Fletcher, the man who can't control his own budget and has to beg the county board for additional $1 million of taxpayer dollars, and then turns around and rehires 2 corrections officers previously fired for misconduct who campaigned for him. This is why we're in this state right now. Policing and corrections is rotten to the core. It's old boys club of the very worst kind. Do the right thing. Be the change. Get your house in order and pressure everyone you can to throw out the bat, who have shown themselves to be so thoroughly entrenched in corruption and the systemic oppression of black people that we do not have time to redeem them. Do something. The world is watching. And the statement, policing and corrections is rotten to the core, is pretty harsh. And I really don't believe it's rotten to the core. I believe we have a ton of good people trying to do extremely good work, and we're making progress. But that work is hindered and damaged when things and incidences like this come up. And then people use that broad paintbrush. That's not always justified. But those actions, such as Steve Leiden and his removal of those black officers, do so much harm to the good work that we are trying to do in this county. So with that, Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts here. I'm looking forward to my colleagues and your thoughts. But it's time for us as a board to take action, to show the sheriff not only are we watching, but we are holding people accountable. And it's time to demonstrate to our employees and to the community that we take this serious and we care and you matter. Thank you.
The Ramsey County Sheriff calling the county manager the most anti-law enforcement he's worked with in decades. Why he wants this appointed position decided by the voters. Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher is publicly criticizing the current county manager, calling him the most anti-public safety county administrator he's worked with in over 40 years.
Now, Ramsey County manager is an appointed position, but Fletcher wants the voters to decide. And this week he launched a petition to get that question on the ballot.
Jay Coles explains what kind of support he'll need and why the county board says it's disappointed in Fletcher's effort.
Bob Fletcher has served as Ramsey County Sheriff for a total of 20 years. Tuesday, he didn't hold back in his opinion of current county manager Ryan O'Connor.
Frankly, we can't do worse. This county manager is as anti-public safety, anti-law enforcement as I've seen in my 45 years. We can't do worse.
O'Connor has been the county manager appointed by the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners since 2018. And Fletcher explains why he instead wants voters to choose the next county manager.
The defunding of law enforcement, the closing of Totem Town, the refusal to let us use the beds at the workhouse. This has been an administration that is really not concerned about public safety.
Sheriff Fletcher has launched a petition drive that would allow voters through an amendment to the county charter to decide in the 2024 election whether O'Connor's job should be voted on or remain a political appointment.
Appointed officials are never as close to the public and as responsive to the public concerns as elected officials. All around the country, counties are turning to elect their county managers because they want to have that relationship.
Ramsey County leaders declined an interview, but the Ramsey County Board Chair issued this statement, which says in part, quote, Ramsey County voters created the position of county manager more than 30 years ago because they recognize that professional, nonpartisan management works best for taxpayers and residents alike. I am disappointed to see Sheriff Fletcher spend time and energy on this political maneuver instead of collaborating with the rest of the county, including the county manager, on effective and transparent use of taxpayer dollars. Back in 2020, we reported the county board considered making the sheriff's position appointed rather than elected, but Fletcher tells us he's not retaliating.
Well, I welcome putting the sheriff's election on the ballot. The voters should have the decision. Place both on the ballot. Do you want an elected sheriff appointed? Do you want an elected county manager appointed? I say let the voters decide.
Now, Sheriff Fletcher says these signatures will be in person, and of course they have to be registered Ramsey County voters. Now, if they get the 16,000 signatures they need by law by next June, 1 year from now, then it will go to the ballot in the November 2024 election. Reporting live in St. Paul, Jay Coles, 5 Eyewitness News.
Wrap this up and looking forward to your thoughts and comments, Madam Chair. I wasn't going to do this, but Nicole, you stated it well, and I just want to reinforce, the issue about appointing a versus isn't about an individual. I've been the county commissioner through 3 sheriffs. All 3 have mismanaged their budget. All 3 have had major racial incidences under their watch. And so really it is more about a structural change in accountability and operation and not about an individual. It's just the time for this to have this conversation, I think is right. I came back. I don't usually come back for second rounds, but I'm doing it this time because this time it's personal. Some of you know, many of you don't. Bob Fletcher and I were great friends at one time. I strongly supported the work that Bob did in this community. I watched him and I worked with him, and many East Side kids and Ramsey County families benefited from that work. Our kids played on the same sports teams. His daughter spent nights at my house. My daughter spent nights at her house. I went to his wedding. We were friends, and I believed in him. I truly believed in him. But I also was close enough to see the rot. And I didn't say nothing, right? I mean, it was always kind of, well, this is good stuff. This isn't so good. Let's focus over here. Let's minimize. Let's dismiss. Let's overlook what's going on over here. And in some ways, my actions caused more harm in this community than the actions of the rot because I didn't speak up. I didn't speak out, seeing what I seen. And Bob, where you lost me, and Nicole, you mentioned the gang strike task force. That's where you lost me, and that's when I started speaking out because I could no longer watch the rot. The largest racial profiling effort ever in this state occurred in this county. Under your watch, under your leadership, hundreds of mostly men of color pulled over in their cars, their homes entered, no search warrants, cars taken, money taken, jewelry taken, dining room tables taken, washing machines taken, refrigerators taken, personal property, never charges, never arrests, all under the guise of protecting the community when it was a blatant racial effort to steal wealth from a community that had very little. All that wealth, none of it, or very little of it, ended up in your property room, and you had the responsibility to ensure it did. And what did? Ended up being sold for pennies on the dollar to your deputies. And you lost me there, Bob. You lost me, and you'll never get me back. Towards the end of your term last time, 2 of your top deputies went to prison for 5 years under your watch. You hired a retired high school teacher to be your communications director, and he's tried to convince you for 18 months that this is Bob Fletcher version 3.0, and that this is Bob Fletcher who's learned from his past, and this is Bob Fletcher who wants to do good in our community. And what I say to that is, Bob Fletcher, you may be 3.0, but it's not about doing good in our community. It's you've just gotten better at convincing our community you want to do good and you want to be a part of it, and you've gotten better at hiding the rot, and you've gotten better at protecting the individuals that create harm in our community. And I'm not, for one, going to stand by and be silent anymore. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Your donkey of the day.
Donkey of the day for Monday, August 15th goes to Steve Leiden. Steve is the former superintendent of the Ramsey County Adult Detention Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, and that's where Derek Chauvin, or as I like to call him, Devil Chauvin, that murderer, that sick, sadistic individual who kept his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Actually, the body camera footage showed it was 9 minutes and 20 seconds, but you know the evil human I'm talking about. Devil Chauvin, okay? That's where he was being held at. And back on May 29, 2020, Steve Leiden banned CEOs of color from entering the 5th floor where Chauvin was being held. Lord have mercy. Let me tell you something. America has no idea how to punish whiteness. All right? They have no idea how to punish whiteness or racially motivated hate crimes like this, because black people and other marginalized communities dying at the hands of racists like Devil Chauvin, that's been happening since the beginning of time. And this country has absolutely no idea how to properly punish them. Even when they get punished, in the case of Devil Chauvin, they get preferential treatment from somebody, okay? Has this former superintendent, Steve Leiden, ever thought about the thousands of black men who have been locked up and, watched over by racist-ass white CEOs? Of course not, all right? Because a black man being locked up and watched over by racist-ass CEOs is what the prison system is all about. All right, this caste system that was created in America hundreds of years ago is still designed to protect the Devil Chauvins of the world. Meanwhile, it's been weaponized against us, okay? Us meaning black and brown people, okay? Black people, all right? Which is why several officers filed charges of discrimination with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights. And their complaint that followed, it was 8 officers alleged multiple violations of the Minnesota human rights, including race and color discrimination and a hostile work environment. 3 of the plaintiffs asserted claims of retaliation. They alleged emotional distress as well as loss of income. All right, Ramsey County Board Chairwoman Trista, I'm about to mess her name up, Trista Mattis Castillo, she apologized Tuesday to the officers affected. She said the actions taken by Sheriff's Office leadership that day were more than just wrong. They were racist, heinous, highly disrespectful, and completely out of line. No one ever should have questioned your ability to perform your job based on the color of your skin. She's absolutely right, and that's why those 8 CEOs are going to receive almost $1.5 million as settlement for racial discrimination, okay? I think the number is too low. I think it should be 1.5 million apiece, not 1.5 between all 8 of them, because this level of care is never given to black or brown people, okay? Nobody ever stops to think about who could be discriminating against us simply because of the color of our skin. But the fact that they are still looking out for this man who is doing damn near 43 years state and federal time for murder is mind-blowing but not surprising. All right, treat that man with the same disregard that you treat black and brown people doing that kind of time for murder, all right? I'm telling you, this country does not know how to punish whiteness. If everybody didn't take it to the streets for George Floyd, then they might have let this dude get off too. All right? White privilege is beyond real. Hell, look at what's going on with Trump right now. Violation of the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, and criminal handling of government records, not to mention the 10 or 13 times Robert Mueller showed he obstructed justice in the Mueller report. The feds coming to get you but don't arrest you. The reality is they don't want to arrest him. All right, the reason they don't want to arrest him is because none of these institutions were ever designed to punish whiteness. That is why people like Devil Chauvin can still get preferential treatment from said institutions. Please let Remy Ma give Steve Leiden the biggest hee-haw.
Hee-haw, hee-haw. You stupid motherfucker. Are you dumb?
1.5 is too low for 8 people. Every single correction officer should be getting like $1 million a piece. 1.5 a piece.
All right. Well, thank you for that, dog.
Wrap this up and looking forward to your thoughts and comments. Madam Chair.
Meet Bob Fletcher, Ramsey County's most controversial cop. Wednesday, July 8, 2009 by Matt Snyders for City Pages. Bob Fletcher is a man under siege, but you wouldn't know it by looking at him. Fletcher proceeds through the Ramsey County Sheriff Department's third-floor offices with the detached ease of a man strolling through his own living room. With his Roman nose and deep-set eyes, he bears a passing resemblance to Fred Gwynn of Munster's fame. "This is it," he says, motioning to the fluorescent-illuminated surroundings with a quick sweep of his right hand. Given his reputation, you expect to see a smoke-stained bulletin board scrawled with esoteric flowcharts detailing the internal structures of leftist groups. But no, just a dozen or so offices branching off a tennis court-sized room in which his employees cradle antiquated phone receivers. This is where it all happens. During his 15 years manning this post, it has entailed many projects. The Metro Gang Strike Force, one of Fletcher's first and most cherished endeavors, is currently the subject of an FBI probe. After a state audit revealed glaring deficiencies in keeping track of seized evidence, guns, dope, cash, and especially cars, the Department of Public Safety announced an investigation. Hearing this, Fletcher's men made haste to the strike force's New Brighton headquarters and shredded documents. Fletcher maintains they were just clearing out their desks. Others aren't so sure. This isn't the first time Fletcher has found himself embroiled in controversy. Those who've crossed his path use words like ruthless, combative, and pugnacious to describe his personality. When the County Board of Commissioners cut his budget in 1999, Fletcher employed an unusually strong negotiating tactic. He sued the board. "Bob's Bob," says Ramsey County Commissioner Tony Bennett, who sounds exhausted just remembering the suit a decade later. "He'll get there any way it takes to get there." Fletcher was in the national spotlight during the Republican National Convention in St. Paul. The weekend before, Fletcher deployed armed agents to raid several houses known to be occupied by protesters, arresting the residents on charges of conspiracy to riot. Fletcher pointed to 3 buckets of urine as evidence that anarchists were indeed plotting destruction in St. Paul, but the containers were later revealed to hold discolored water, yet Fletcher remains unfazed, even defiant. "Frankly, except for their political party associations, he kind of reminds me of Richard Nixon," says David Gross, a former Minneapolis city prosecutor who first encountered Fletcher in the mid-90s. "This latest gang strike force stuff kind of reminds you of Nixon's claim of executive privilege. It is because I say it is."
Fletcher couldn't bring him down. Every sinew straining under his singlet, the 17-year-old Fletcher heaved his 180 pounds at the opponent across the wrestling mat, to no avail. More than once, his opponent ducked, leveraged Fletcher's own weight against him, and scored a takedown. That was how Fletcher lost at the 1972 regionals, just one step removed from the state wrestling tournament. He never got pinned that day, as Fletcher is keen on noting. In fact, he never got pinned during his entire high school wrestling career. His handful of losses all came by points. "I was a hair on the conservative side," Fletcher says ruefully. "As I look back, I think I could have been a more successful wrestler if I was willing to take some risks." Upon graduating, Fletcher enrolled at Hamline University, where he studied political science and played linebacker on the football team. Halfway through his senior year, while standing in line at a Burger King in St. Paul, Fletcher noticed a flyer taped to the wall. The St. Paul Police Department was looking for new recruits. A career in law enforcement had immense appeal to the ex-athlete. He had both the physical tools and a strong desire to immerse himself in the city's grit. "I loved working the streets at midnight," he says. "You see a lot of different things. You're out there on your own, so it's a challenging requirement." After 4 years of hustling the patrol beat, arresting drug dealers and thieves, Fletcher was ready to start dealing with the disease instead of the symptoms. In 1982, he decided to run for city council. It was an audacious move for a 26-year-old who was virtually unknown within St. Paul political circles. If he won, he'd be a decade younger than any other council member. But as unlikely as his campaign may have seemed, it was spectacularly well-timed. To deal with a recession-induced budget shortfall, Mayor George Latimer had cut 100 city cops and firefighters. Fletcher, already plugged into the law enforcement community, courted the public safety vote by promising to oppose any additional cuts. "Bob is a cop all the way to the core," says Dave Titus, president of the St. Paul Police Federation. His main concern has always been public safety. The campaign pitted Fletcher against incumbent George McMahon. While McMahon was hashing out financial minutiae in City Hall, Fletcher made the rounds, establishing himself as a neighborhood guy, as he puts it. It was enough to give him a narrow win. The freshman council member wasted no time making his presence known. Every issue, even those as perfunctory as the renewal processes for cable television franchises, had Fletcher coming down hard on one side or the other. And if he didn't see an issue his way, Fletcher would linger on his point, even after meetings were over. He would go after things and not give up, says Jim Scheibel, who was a rookie council member that same year. Bob just sometimes wouldn't let things go while on the council. He and I usually got along, but sometimes after he made his point, he just wouldn't let it go. 7 years later, the two men found themselves squaring off on a larger public stage. Scheibel, a Democrat, and Fletcher, an independent, ran against each other for mayor of St. Paul in 1989. The differences couldn't have been starker. Fletcher had prowled the streets as a hardened cop. The bookish Scheibel had canvassed the streets as community organizer. Fletcher perceived crime and corruption to be the biggest threats to the city. Scheibel was most concerned with homelessness and hunger. Fletcher played football for Hamline. Scheibel would go on to teach there. Because of his party affiliation, Scheibel was closely associated with Mayor Latimer, whose popularity was on the wane. Fletcher hammered on the connection. During debates, the former police officer fashioned himself as a change agent, an independent straight shooter with no allegiance to the entrenched establishment. The strategy didn't quite work. On November 8, 1989, the citizens of St. Paul took to the polls and elected Scheibel by a margin of 12%, 56 to 44. Fletcher returned to the St. Paul Police Department disappointed but undeterred. Now a lieutenant in the juvenile unit, he focused on gang prevention. 3 years in, Fletcher felt he was ready for a cross-departmental promotion, one that would require the voters' approval. Fletcher's campaign for Ramsey County Sheriff in 1993 was, like his stab at the city council, impeccably timed. For the first time in 60 years, the last two candidates standing were department outsiders. Fletcher had been a fixture of St. Paul. His gruff rival, Tony Bennett, was a U.S. Marshal and former state representative. It was anybody's race. The public mood favored a law and order type with local, on-the-streets credentials. Violent crime in the metro was rising. In 1987, there were 12 murders in St. Paul. By 1992, that figure had jumped to 33. Across the river, the term murderapolis had just been coined. Gangs, it seemed, were everywhere. With his first-hand anecdotes about arresting drug dealers and working hand-in-hand with communities on gang prevention, Fletcher had a built-in advantage, and he wasn't above hyping the threat. "This is just a blip on the radar screen," he'd say in both debates and interviews. "We're about to hit a gigantic wave of crime." Recognizing the political realities of Ramsey County, both Fletcher and Bennett ran as Democrats. But for Bennett, it was a harder sell. This was a guy who'd been an independent Republican as a state representative, and whom George H.W. Bush had tapped for the U.S. Marshal post. At times, the campaign got nasty. Bennett remembers walking outside his house one morning and finding his water pipe bent. He couldn't help but wonder whether a Fletcher supporter had a hand in it. "Someone had to have kicked it," says Bennett, now a Ramsey County commissioner. "I don't know who did it, but it's strange that the only damage to my house in 25 years came during that campaign." Fletcher's biggest tactical advantage came from the rapport he established with the rank and file. During the months preceding the election, he gathered Ramsey County deputies in groups of 5 or 6 at various coffee shops and delis across town and laid out his vision for the department. He told them he wanted to professionalize it by adding more patrol units. At the time, the department centered mostly on jail operations. He wanted his men to take a more proactive approach to fighting crime. The talks resonated with his prospective deputies, most of whom preferred in-the-field action to the dreary monotony of administrative chores. Also, his ambition and enthusiasm struck many as a sure indicator of competence. Their present boss, Sheriff Charles Zacharias, was much more laid back. That contrast alone was appealing. Fletcher was more of a go-getter than Zacharias, says retired Deputy Mike Tatzik. He had it in his mind to implement a lot of things, like hiring more monks on board. And he was bigger on the this type of stuff. In the last months of the campaign, about 70 Ramsey County deputies took up the cause, going door to door, handing out literature, and getting the word out for Fletcher. On November 8, 1994, Fletcher was elected sheriff, capturing 58% of the vote. With a mandate from the electorate, Fletcher entered the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department with the added bonus of having the majority of subordinates on board with his ambitious agenda from day one. But that nearly unanimous support wouldn't last long.
At first, Deputy Mike Burke didn't know what to make of Fletcher. A decorated 15-year veteran in the Sheriff's Department, Burke understood and accepted the political realities that came with the job. When a new sheriff came in, it was common to appoint trusted intimates, acquaintances made in other departments, or while coming up the ranks to the inner circle. But with Fletcher, it was beyond anything Burke had seen before. Other sheriffs didn't bring it down to the deputy ranks, says Burke. Fletcher did. Unless you were a part of his political machine, you got nowhere. The only way you could move up was by selling your soul. Early in his first term, Fletcher began creating new units that, as promised, introduced more in-the-field positions. He didn't create these jobs out of thin air, he reshuffled personnel from the detention division to his newly formed units. It was in line with Fletcher's vow to shift the department's emphasis from jailing to arresting. This included the creation of an apprehension unit, a team of a half-dozen deputies sent out to investigate and arrest low to mid-level criminals. Among others was a newly constructed fugitive task force, which focused on at-large perps, and a special investigations unit, which pursued the kind of high-level criminals you see on the wire. The common thread that ran through the newly created positions was that they were highly desirable. They carried with them a certain level of excitement and prestige. And with so many of these jobs suddenly up for grabs, some veterans started to notice a pattern. Seniority played little role in the selections. Fletcher was effectively hand-picking the appointees. Political fealty to Fletcher appeared to be the #1 criterion. The way he wanted to use personnel made it clear how power-hungry he was, says a retired deputy who asked that his name be withheld. He wanted total control. People who believed they would be in positions of authority due to seniority were replaced by his supporters. Further hurting morale was the suspicion that some in the ranks were moles looking for reward by reporting back to the boss. Topics discussed in the locker room came up in staff meetings. The suspicions were so widespread, there was a nickname for suspected snitches. We called them internal informants, the retired deputy says. In 2001, Lieutenant John Moore decided to challenge his boss in the next election for sheriff. A 20-year veteran of the department, Moore supervised the 8-man patrol division. With his entrance into the campaign, the divide in the department grew more evident. Sides were chosen, lines drawn. Burke, for his part, threw his support behind Moore's campaign, of which he made no secret. As he would soon learn, supporting his boss's opponent came with a price. One day, in an elevator, when a Fletcher supporter asked Burke if he was supporting Moore, Burke was honest. "Yes, that's right," he recalls saying. He then added jokingly, "I guess this isn't a real good move for my political career." "No," answered the supporter. "It isn't." Burke received a letter 1 week later informing him that he was being transferred. His days with the apprehension unit, working the street and arresting criminals, were over. He'd been reassigned to the transportation unit, a position he bitterly describes as a glorified cab driver. In July 2001, Moore was summoned by Fletcher. The sheriff told him that he was transferring him to the apprehension unit, a lowly destination for a lieutenant. No officer ranked as high as lieutenant had ever served there. Moore remembered he had informed his colleague Dennis Flaherty, a Fletcher supporter, of his intent to run for sheriff just 10 days earlier. Fletcher's parting words confirmed his worst suspicions. "By the way," he said, "I spoke to Flaherty." This exchange would come out in a lawsuit Moore filed in 2006. Joining the suit was Sergeant Joy Shaughnessy, who had campaigned extensively for Moore and found herself similarly transferred. The case never went to trial. The circumstances and evidence were strong enough in the plaintiff's favor to compel attorneys for Ramsey County and Fletcher to settle. The settlement cost Ramsey County taxpayers $750,000.
Mark Nalen and Deputy Timothy Rahek entered room 503 in the Kelly Inn in downtown St. Paul and began searching. They checked the closets, peered under the beds. They had been tipped off that a drug dealer named Vinny had been arrested in Wisconsin that night and had left his smack and cash somewhere in this room. They opened the top drawer of a small dresser nestled between two queen-sized beds and found a small black duffel bag. They tossed the bag onto a bed, unzipped it, and peered inside. No drugs, but wads of unmarked bills. If they took the time to count it, they'd know they were looking at $13,500. Nalen casually handed a stack of bills to Rahek, who pocketed it. Little did they know, they were under FBI surveillance. Nalen had been the subject of a federal investigation for nearly a year. Of particular interest was Nalen's association with the Hells Outcasts, an East Metro-based motorcycle gang with a history of drug smuggling. For months, local, state, and federal agencies had been flummoxed in their efforts to nab ranking members of the gang. Targets always seemed to slip through their fingers at the last second. Officers began to suspect that Nalen, who was prone to boasting about his close relationships with known high-end criminals, was thwarting their efforts. On a chilly early November night in 2004, the FBI had set up a sting operation in the Kelly Inn, what's known in bureau parlance as an integrity test. Nalen had failed miserably. The bust came as no surprise to those who knew him in the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department. When Nalen came on board, says a former officer, the question on everyone's minds was, what's he doing here? A former lobbyist for the horse racing industry, Nalen had a conceal and carry permit and his own squad car, despite having never attended 1 minute of police academy. An unlicensed civilian, he incited his co-workers' ire and derision by sending them on the law enforcement equivalent of wild goose chases. He'd call from a bar and offer a lead, telling them a highly sought-after suspect was drinking at the end of the bar or shooting pool. We'd race over there, and the guy we were looking for was never there, says a former deputy. Oh, he left 5 minutes ago, he'd say. He always had an excuse. He also had a connection. Nayland met Fletcher through a mutual friend within the St. Paul Police Department. Their first encounter came at a 1993 fundraiser while Nayland was mounting a long-shot run for mayor. Fletcher took an immediate liking to the amiable smooth-talker. Although Fletcher describes their friendship between 1993 and 1998 as sparse, at some point after Fletcher hired Nayland in 1998, they grew tight. In 2004, Fletcher asked Nayland to be the best man at his wedding. He handled all of the media calls, Fletcher says of Nayland's job duties. And I asked him to use any sources that he had on the street to provide our deputies with information. If you knew Mark Nayland, you would know that he has so many friends and associates in all parts of the community. 8 days after Nayland's and Rehak's March 4, 2008, indictment, Fletcher announced the duo would be put on paid leave and would be fired if convicted. In a released statement, he urged the public to resist the temptation to try this case in the media. During the trial in the summer of 2008, Nayland's defense argued that he and Rehak had taken the money as part of an elaborate practical joke that they were playing on their immediate supervisor. The jury didn't buy it. On August 27, 2008, Nayland and his partner were convicted of theft and conspiracy, for which they were sentenced to 30 months in jail. The convictions and accompanying headlines beset Fletcher with charges of cronyism. But the scrutiny was short-lived. In just 5 short days, the Republican National Convention was coming to town. As the city geared up, Fletcher prepped for his close-up.
One day in the fall of 2007, while Fletcher was surfing the net, he came across an online video that sparked his imagination. To the uninitiated, it appeared to be your typical YouTube fare, a crudely edited parody, replete with in-jokes and visual gags. Set to Blondie's One Way or Another, it portrays a shrouded-in black anarchist jumping out of bed, slipping into combat gear, and sprinting through the streets of Minneapolis. She lights a Molotov cocktail and heaves it. It lands in a grill and ignites the charcoal, much to the delight of the black-clad cooks. She hurls a bowling ball at a Navy recruiting center. We see the acronym RABL taped to the ball as it topples over bowling pins, a cheeky nod to the 80s-era Minneapolis-based Revolutionary Anarchist Bowling League. The video ends with the tagline, "We're getting ready." What are you doing? As if to answer the chiding slogan, Fletcher immediately began getting ready in a most unorthodox and ferocious way. He launched an investigation into the group without notifying anyone, not other police departments, not the people who would be tasked with prosecuting any criminals he turned up, not even those on whom his budget depended. We did not advise the city of St. Paul or their police department on this, Fletcher says. We didn't advise the city's attorney's office, because knowing about this investigation could have complicated this investigation. He forged ahead, hiring a paid informant to infiltrate the group, in addition to sending his undercover men to major cities across the nation. In doing so, he racked up more than $300,000 in overtime pay and traveling expenses. And since no one had approved the expenditures, the County Board of Commissioners would have been the entity to do so. He was under unusual pressure to produce results. Which may be why, during the months leading up to the RNC, Fletcher, more than any other official, remained convinced that St. Paul would be under siege when the convention rolled into town. He sparked an internal yet much publicized debate with St. Paul Police Chief John Harrington over how many officers were necessary. Fletcher was adamant that more bodies were needed and implored Harrington to recruit the difference. As he usually does, Fletcher won the argument, and St. Paul scrambled to hire 350 additional troops during the 3 weeks leading up to the RNC. Then he went after the anarchists. On the weekend immediately preceding the convention, Fletcher's agents executed warrants on 4 residences housing allegedly violent protesters. Armed, riot gear-clad troopers stormed through the homes, detained dozens of activists, and confiscated political literature as evidence. The raid on the so-called RNC Welcoming Committee Smith Avenue headquarters in St. Paul resulted in felony charges levied against 8 anarchists, later dubbed the RNC 8. That Monday, the first day of the convention, dozens of masked, black-clad anarchists marched down 4th Street in downtown St. Paul. Arriving at the First National Bank building on the corner of Robert Street, a protester kicked in one of the bank's plate glass windows. Spiderweb cracks expanded from the impact of the black-booted foot. Another kick. Shattered glass rained down on the sun-roasted pavement. A Macy's window on nearby Cedar Street met a similar fate. Other protesters, meanwhile, knocked over newspaper boxes and turned over garbage bins. This went on for a full 2.5 hours before law enforcement mounted a concerted response. Crowd control responsibility fell on the Mobile Field Force, a team of heavy hitters in full riot gear presided over by Fletcher. For most of that day, however, in contrast to their name, they remained rather immobile. St. Paul police were in the vicinity of the chaos and had radio communication with the mobile field force, and yet no reinforcements came. Fletcher's men remained along the parade route on Kellogg Boulevard, 5 blocks away. As a result, the anarchists were allowed to wreak havoc on downtown for the better part of the afternoon, with professional photographers and videographers catching all the action. Fletcher says the reason for the mobile field force's delayed response was that his men and their St. Paul counterparts were on different radio frequencies. But both units' higher-ups were housed in the same command center, albeit in adjoining buildings. One could walk from one to the other without stepping foot outside. How could they not have caught word of the chaos? As it turned out, there was poor communication inside the command center, says Fletcher, quickly adding that he regrets his unit didn't respond sooner. However, he continues suddenly, the good part, on balance, was that by allowing them their quote freedom to destroy property, everyone in town suddenly understood that they were here with criminal intent. The benefit that occurred was that the citizenry and powers that be saw that there were 500 to 800 anarchists hellbent on shutting down the convention by any means necessary. This was illuminating to the community to see that what we had warned about was, in fact, a true threat. The totality of it, the clandestine investigation, the police state-like tactics had many observers wondering how much of the overwhelming force was truly necessary. Colleen Rowley, a former FBI agent turned whistleblower and a Time Person of the Year, has been especially critical of law enforcement's handling of the RNC, particularly Fletcher's decisions. When they started spending the money and started the investigation, they had already started writing the facts, she says. You look stupid if you have all these robocops, these informants, and a year-long investigation, and then nothing comes of it. It will prejudice you to expect the worst. The preemptive raids alone were cause for concern among First Amendment advocates. What happened during those raids is they went in and grabbed any materials they could find, anything Fletcher wanted off the streets, says Teresa Nelson, an attorney with the ACLU of Minnesota. The First Amendment doesn't tolerate that. Improper or not, the investment yielded heaps of information on protesters, as a few would later find out firsthand. On the first day of the RNC, 56-year-old activist Bestie Rosh Gilman was locking up the RNC Welcoming Committee's Convergence Center when a voice called out. Hey, Betsy, she recalls hearing. A black SUV had pulled up alongside the curb. Fletcher was behind the wheel, accompanied by 2 deputies. Rosh Gilman plodded toward the idling vehicle, sure she was about to be arrested. But Fletcher had a different idea, according to her version of events. He told her that, yes, she was next on the list, but he was willing to make a deal. Knowing her to be the oldest member of the anarchist group, Fletcher said he'd spare her if she would use her influence to quell her fellow anarchists protesting. I think we can agree we don't want anyone to get hurt, he said, according to her recollection. Rosh Gilman declined the offer. You know, I have a pretty extensive file on you, continued Fletcher, pulling out a white loose-leaf binder. Let's see, you were at the WTO protest in Seattle in '99, the IMF protest in D.C. in 2000. More than anything, it was the Orwellian accuracy of Fletcher's rundown that alarmed Rosh Gilman. He was congenial, but in a threatening kind of fashion, says Rosh Gilman. He wanted to scare me with that file. Fletcher has never disputed Rosh Gilman's account. A pending lawsuit by Rosh Gilman may shed more light on the incident.
The room was in utter disarray, shredded documents strewn about the floor, a security camera powered off, a dumpster outside brimming with ribbons of paper. To Commander Chris Ahmad, the Metro Gang Strike Force offices had all the appearances of a crime scene. Fearing the worst, he made a call to Hennepin County, his home department, and arranged to have crime technicians come in and collect evidence. It had begun earlier that day, May 20th, 2009, with the release of a damning report. That morning, the Office of the Legislative Auditor made public a special review examining the Metro Gang Strike Force's inner workings. What they found was so disconcerting that the Department of Public Safety immediately called on the strike force to suspend its operations. Investigators discovered that the strike force couldn't account for 14 seized vehicles and $18,126 in cash. The loose loot, troubling though it was indicative of a more systemic problem. The strike force, it was learned, had scant in-house record-keeping in place, no way to ensure that highly valuable evidence routinely seized in the field, guns, drugs, cash, jewelry, cars, were properly disposed of. Calling the findings serious and disturbing, Legislative Auditor James Nobles announced that a more sweeping probe into the strike force would soon be underway. Hearing this, members of the strike force hightailed it to their office in New Brighton. There, they allegedly shredded documents, tampered with computer files, and were busy boxing up their belongings when West St. Paul Police Chief Bud Shaver, head of the Strike Force Advisory Board, showed up and confronted the cops. Shaver, in turn, called Ahmad, who arrived shortly thereafter to find the aftermath of what appeared to be a hastily carried-out cover-up operation. Fletcher was once again in the headlines. He attributed the unaccounted for cars and cash to sloppy bookkeeping, and maintained that the officers were merely clearing out their desks. Though he had no direct authority over its operation, Fletcher had always shown a protective interest in the task force. This was, after all, the defining issue that had fueled his first campaign back in 1994, and whose creation was among his top priorities after assuming the post. Former deputies to this day describe the Metro Gang Strike Force as Fletcher's baby. "There's no dispute that I spent a lot of my career addressing gang violence and how to fight it," says Fletcher. "It was obvious to me that we needed to break the cycle of how kids get into gangs." The strike force's genesis came about in late 1996, when Fletcher dispatched his inner circle to the State House to lobby hard for the creation of a force dedicated solely to the perceived scourge of gangs sweeping the state. When it came time to choose a commander for the newly created Minnesota Gang Strike Force in 1997, Fletcher kept it in the family, appointing trusted confidant Ron Ryan to the post. A close friend to Fletcher since their days together on the St. Paul Police Force, Ryan would go on to preside over the strike force until his retirement last December. During the years that followed its inception, there were times when the strike force faced oblivion. In 2003, the state legislature slashed its budget from $1.5 million a year to $350,000. The strike force was able to stave off extinction, however, by relying on funds seized through its operations. Despite the budget cuts, members had enough money on hand to schedule expensive trips to far-flung destinations. The first time the strike force induced any kind of public ire was in April, when the Star Tribune ran a story about a $17,000 trip to Hawaii that 6 members of the strike force took under the auspices of attending an Asian gang conference. 3 months later came the Legislative Auditor's special report, the latest, and most likely last, chapter of the strike force's contentious history. Though investigators haven't found instances of explicit criminality, those close to the investigation describe a setup that all but invited corruption. There really wasn't a command structure that ensured that people were bringing back only material from a drug bust that had evidentiary value, says Nobles. Another vulnerability and risk is that you're funding this force, in part, on what you can seize, in terms of guns, drugs, cash, cars, etc. They can convert this into money that they can deposit into their own account. Adding to the temptation is the officers' natural disdain for the targets of their seizures, as Ryan himself candidly admitted during a tape-recorded interview on April 21st, a month before the audit was announced. Some mope, he's a dope dealer, he's never had a job, and he's got this whole array of stuff that's really neat, that's better than the stuff the coppers got in his house. And they have this thing that they don't deserve it, so we're going to take it. We're going to forfeit it, you know. That's just the mentality of the coppers. So you almost have to tell them, quit taking stuff. 3 weeks after their initial May 20th report, state auditors discovered that the strike force had sold 29 vehicles to Brooklyn Center-based car dealer Cars with Heart, without billing the dealership a single penny. Cars with Heart's owner, Nick Brackey, personally knew Ramsey County Deputy John McManus, the officer in charge of seized vehicles, through their sons, who played sports together, according to investigators. The deal involved no money, and was sealed with nothing more than a smile and a handshake. There was no documentation to support this arrangement, which is a big red flag, says David Policino, manager of the strike force audit. We expect to see some kind of paperwork, documentation, showing which vehicles went where, for how much, who authorized it. None of that existed. The FBI is now investigating the Metro Gang Strike Force to determine if there was any criminal wrongdoing regarding the paper shredding. Against this backdrop, Fletcher strolled casually through his downtown St. Paul offices, leading the way to a sequestered conference room.
After rooting through a mini fridge, Fletcher takes a seat at the end of long conference table and cracks open his generic You mentioned the issues of promotions, he says, setting down his soda and reaching into a folder. Watching Fletcher sift through paperwork, you half expect the words "I've got an extensive file on you" to follow. Not today. We heard complaints back then, during my first term, he continues. But we resolved that in 2000 by having this agreement. He produces a contract his department hashed out with the Teamsters, who represent his employees. The rating process is an oral interview, which counts as 75% of the score, and seniority now takes 25%. The panel consists of 2 from management and 2 from union. So now I think that we have in place an objective process. He's perfectly calm, almost affable, in his explanations. It's not until the Metro Gang Strike Force comes up that a hint of frustration reveals itself in his face. He's clearly upset by the bad press his most beloved enterprise has received lately. Someone should probably report on the fact that for the 12 years it's been around, the strike force has arrested 700 gangsters and their associates every year, he says, an edge creeping into his voice. They've recovered hundreds and hundreds of guns off the street. I mean, they're good cops. They should have had more administrative help, and that's the bottom line. That's the one lesson here, there was sloppy bookkeeping. An hour into the interview, it's time for a bathroom break. Entering the immaculate restroom, Fletcher opts for the stall, leaving open the solitary urinal. Freed from interview formalities, small talk ensues. Toilets are flushed. You're not from the part of Iowa where the tornado tore through a Boy Scout camp, are you? You? Fletcher asks, over the sound of water from the faucet washing over his hands. The answer is no, fortunately not. But how did he know this reporter is from Iowa? Oh, he says nonchalantly as he yanks a paper towel from the dispenser. I think I read that somewhere.